if you've ever wanted to take a glimpse into the future, you have certainly come to the right place. Tonight, we are at the iconic Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi for an event that we are calling a science project that showcases the advancement in autonomous technology, innovation, and speed like never before. Welcome to the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League's inaugural race, where you and all of our friends behind us get a front row seat. My name is Amanda Busick, and that is former F1 driver Jolyon Palmer, and you have been to motorsports events across the world. What do you make of this one?
I've been to many here as well, but I've never seen anything like this. Autonomous vehicles lapping pretty quickly around the circuit is quite amazing. It really is a world first.
Well, as we continue to learn what A2RL is together tonight, our very own Steph Wentworth went to find out more.
Welcome to the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League, A2RL, which brings together the exciting impact of artificial intelligence and its incredible potential for autonomy. Teams of scientists, coders, and developers from around the world will be incorporating cutting-edge technologies into racing vehicles, all with the aim of reshaping the future of mobility through extreme sports. The A2RL racing car is based on the Dallara chassis used in the Japanese Super Formula series. It has a 4-cylinder turbocharged Honda engine, a 6-speed gearbox, and slick racing tyres. Oh, and it can reach speeds of up to 300 kilometers an hour. But the interesting part is here. A2RL cars won't have drivers, they will be completely autonomous.
This car is a Super Formula car. As you know, Super Formulas are the second fastest car after Formula 1. Altogether, the car drives itself. Each lap generates like tens of gigabytes of data from all the sensors we have.
The A2RL car has many sensors. The GPS system is used to self-localize the car. It's a dual antenna GPS, one antenna on the nose, the second above the virtual reality camera pod near the roll hoop. This allows the car to know where it is on the track to a very high precision, within tens of centimeters. Radar sensors send electromagnetic waves into the air. These bounce back from obstacles, and by counting the time the waves take to go to obstacles and come back, the car estimates the distance to obstacles around it. LiDAR sends out an array of laser light and also counts the time for it to bounce back. That allows the car to make a dynamic 3D picture of obstacles, both moving and fixed, at a very high frequency. So the car generates pictures of its surroundings hundreds of times per second. Each car has 7 cameras, 6 at the front, 1 at the back. The car needs this many for a system called camera lock, which the teams can develop so the car can detect whenever it is passing or being passed, and tracks the car from camera to camera. Inside the car, there is a computer, which is the brain of the car. It takes in all of the sensor information, uses its high-end GPU to understand its situation, and decides what the car will do next. Each team will get an empty computer to write their code, and that is the ground where they will compete. So there you have it. That is how the 8 autonomous racing cars from teams all around the world will use cutting-edge technologies such as artificial intelligence, innovative sensor technologies, and powerful computing to create high-performance vehicles that are capable of making decisions, perceiving their surroundings, and most importantly, lapping the Yas Marina Circuit here in Abu Dhabi without human intervention. For the teams, it's green for go.
And it's going to be green to go here soon enough, as we will race here under the lights at Yas Marina. And with that explainer, I know that might have been a lot to take in, so why don't we get down to the pits to see a live car with our very own Alex Brundle.
Yeah, let's have a look at the hardware, shall we? The Super Formula SF23, 660 kilos of carbon fiber and biocarbon, single-seater push-rod suspension, both front and rear, connect Yokohama tyres to the road. It's a very, very difficult car for these teams with their AI control to try to maximize the temperature management of both the carbon fiber brakes and the Yokohama tire in order to get this car around the circuit, powered by that Honda-derived 4-cylinder turbocharged engine capable of producing 550 brake horsepower. And as we've heard, pushing this car up close to 300 kilometers per hour. Now, we're so used to the setup, the management of the car being the battleground for teams in conventional motorsport, but not so here. The technical partner Aspire controls everything about these vehicles, the engine management, the setup, the tyre pressures, when they run on track. That is not the aim here. The aim and the battleground is all about the coding, the computer that sits inside the cockpit and connects to several hydraulic actuators. Those are the arms and legs of the AI driver. They control each brake disc and brake caliper independently, and the sensor stack also connects to a mechanical steering process, an electronic motor which connects directly into this steering rack, allowing the front wheels to change direction. What we do know, though, alongside all of the changes to this car to make it AI compatible, is it's a beast of a machine, whether managed by an AI driver or a human one.
Thanks, Alex, and we know you're going to be a beast of a machine for us as well as the arms and legs on pit lane tonight. But Abu Dhabi is punctuating their support in autonomous technology, not only through this event here tonight, but even more. But don't take my word for it, see for yourself.
So the launch of Savvy, which is the Smart and Autonomous Vehicle Industry Cluster, it's a multimodal cluster encompassing air, land and sea, and it was designed to position Abu Dhabi at the forefront as one of the major cities when it comes to smart and autonomous vehicles. The cluster is going to utilize the existing infrastructure within Abu Dhabi, and it's going to be a driving force when it comes to GDP contribution and job creation.
Collaboration with industry makers in terms of connected autonomous vehicles is crucial in order to reach to a final, let's say, approach of having autonomous vehicles around in the city.
Autonomous vehicles would actually drive like Abu Dhabi's ambition and the world's towards zero net carbon neutrality, right? And this is one of the major elements. Also, from an infrastructure point of view, to make sure we have the charging stations, you have the sensors, the vehicle to everything network that needs to be in place to actually drive the adoption of this. And I think from a consumer behavior, it's going to take time. Right now, people are still getting used to the idea of owning an EV, charging their cars before they go to bed, when they reach their office.
Looking for parking, maybe this is not an issue anymore. Maybe a lot of car parking that we have here in the city, like public parking or multi-story car park, might be reused to have it as a public facility or retail or actually some parks.
DriftTest was also launched as part of Savvy to solidify our vision to making Abu Dhabi as one of the hubs in the major cities when it comes to smart and autonomous vehicles. I think the event today brings thought leaders together from around the globe. We bring in the academia, innovators, regulators, startups, all under one umbrella. We're expecting over 2,000 attendees to come to the event with over 20 confirmed speakers, global and national. We also have over 50 exhibitors at the event, and also we're going to have a lot of live demos that are going to be taking place. I think from that perspective, it's a unique opportunity to witness firsthand and to see these futuristic innovations that are coming in the space of mobility and sustainable mobility that will be actually here within Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi has an aspirational vision within the next few years to have 25% of the travel to be autonomous. There is, of course, an implementation plan for the next 5 years that work in parallel, either with setting up policy frameworks, as well as doing some testing facilities around, which is happening now.
Given all these elements, this value proposition enables people that want to be here, and given our geographical location as well as our political trade agreements that are existing with the world, I think it makes Abu Dhabi in a very unique position for companies to come and set up here and provide these technologies in Abu Dhabi and to the world. So from Abu Dhabi to the world is the message.
And it starts right now. Your Excellency, what an honor it is to be with you tonight on such a monumental occasion. This was your idea. Why?
I think it was a great opportunity to combine science, not just in the UAE, but probably outside the UAE.
Thank you. We look forward to witnessing history alongside you tonight.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Nice having you.
Boy, do we, as we take a look at a live look overhead of Yas Marina Circuit. I think you could hear from His Excellency that Abu Dhabi is fully committed to this autonomous initiative, and that's going to include drone racing. Here's a sneak peek.
Welcome to Abu Dhabi, the home of the A2RL. After the spectacular launch of the Autonomous Racing League in 2024, A2RL and Aspire are expanding their program to an autonomous drone racing competition. Together with the Drone Champions League, the World Championship of Professional Drone Racing Teams, we will elevate autonomous drone technology to the next level. In 2025, the best teams in the field of autonomous drones will compete in Abu Dhabi. A2RL, Aspire, DCL, where humans and machines unite. Be there in 2025.
And our next guest into the broadcast is comedian extraordinaire Kojo Anim. He's got a 15-stop tour coming up in the United States, so make sure to check that out. But I think I'm most happy about you being here and taking in this event. As an entertainer, how does your brain even process this?
This is crazy. This is something that you hear about, but you don't actually believe until you see. I mean, we've been here for a few days, seeing all the testing of the cars, still trying to find out where they've locked the drivers. Do you know what I mean? But like, this is autonomous. This is amazing. I'm just happy to be a part of this experience because this is a bigger crowd than I'm used to. You know what I mean? But this has been a fantastic couple of days.
You may be looking for those drivers for a little bit, but did I hear that you were trying to get on a go-kart earlier?
That was between us. That was between us. But listen, we're going to have a fantastic time. I was down at the fan zone earlier. There's so much stuff to do down there. It was insane.
Well, I know you're going to head over to the support pits, and we'll see you down there. But now the world gets to know that you wanted to be on a go-kart. Let's check out the fan zone with Kojo.
Okay, guys, we are here live at the fan zone, and I can tell you, I think that this might be the best spot to be at. There's so much to do before the race happens. It's still quite early, but as you can see, loads of people are turning up, and there's so many pop-ups happening all over the place. There's a stage over there. There's a big show for kids. And I feel like a big kid right now because there is one of the cars, the model of one of the cars that will be competing in today's Autonomous Racing League. It's fantastic out here, the weather's great, and people have come from far and wide to get involved in this event today. But it's not just about the adults who can control a car, it's about the kids too. And we wanted them to get more involved in the engineering side. And as you can see, there's a little track here of miniature cars, and it's a program that we call STEM. Let's find out a bit more about that right now. And don't forget, make sure you guys get down here. There's so much to do.
While the challenge of racing autonomous vehicles around the Yas Marina F1 track is quite daunting, a smaller yet equally demanding one has tested 173 students from 18 public and private educational institutions from here in the UAE and in America. The students attended 19 workshops with the curriculum comprising of 11 online lectures. The reward for all this hard work? Well, the chance to win a prestigious prize and to show their skills at the A2RL fan zone right here on race day. The teams were asked to develop systems to automatically control a 1/8 size model electric-powered 4-wheel race car. With top speeds of 100 kilometers an hour, these are absolutely not toys. The idea is to find the next generation of technical talent. So what did they think of the project?
We started in November, I think, and then we had weekly workshops or bi-weekly workshops where they would elaborate more on the code that they provided us, the base code, which is basically the foundation that we need to drive the autonomous racing car. And then from there, they would tell us what to look out for and the parameters that we would need to adjust in order to have a lower lap time, of course, and perform the obstacle avoidance tests.
And how is it working for you? Have you managed to get it as far as you want it, or is there still ways to go?
Honestly, for me as a mechanical engineer, it was challenging at first since I didn't know the coding language that they provided us with. But thankfully, when we finally came to the track and used our physics and math equations, we figured out how to get a lower lap time, and we're still optimizing it right now, but so far it's good progress.
All the skills that we're teaching them, they're skills that, our team didn't learn until we were doing our PhDs, and we didn't learn until industry. We're providing them the same skills and the same knowledge that, we didn't learn until grad school or later when they're 12 years old or 15 years old. And so I think it's really going to prepare them. They're going to have a huge step up, whether they want to go to a top university, go to grad school, go into industry. They're already going to know all of the basic skills that they need, and they're going to have kind of that advanced knowledge and actual application of it. It's not just theoretical, learning out of a book, but it's applying it to the real world and seeing it move.
For the code, we've been learning through this, and we're still trying to run through some things, trying to make our cars not oscillate as much and speed up on some curves. But through that, we've been pretty consistent on like how we code and been testing it out.
And you're interested in STEM. How great is it to see STEM projects like this and to be involved with them?
It's been amazing. Like being in a STEM project just like this is definitely what I want to do in the future. Since I am pursuing computer science for my college next year, so I'm definitely excited to be here and just see how my future is going to look like.
So in just over 2 hours, we will find out who has won the ultimate prize, and we'll be standing here on the top step with ultimate bragging rights.
Well, as I say, if you can see it, you can be it. I'm not sure the smiles of those kids are leaving my face anytime soon, but Julian, not only have you said you've been here before, you've been on podium here before. What is the secret to Yas Marina?
Well, this is not a Mickey Mouse track. This is a Grand Prix circuit. I've been on the podium in Formula 2, GP2, but it's a track that's made up of 3 different sectors. It's really going to test these teams tonight. First sector, high speed. It's quite short, but it is really quick, and the margin for error is very small. The second sector is about your top speed. Lots of straight lines, some big stamps on the brakes, and it'll be a big test for those braking systems. But the third sector is the one that I'm really interested in, because that's where the walls are so close. They're going to have to use all their sensors, the GPS, the radar, and the LiDAR to detect where those walls are, because they're so close. And they're going to be going underneath the hotel as well. So there's going to be a couple of dropouts potentially there, and the walls are close. So it's really tricky track.
Well, not to give away what we're going to see in the show coming up, but we did an attack and defend challenge yesterday, and cars were passing each other on track. If you were lining up for a pass at Yas Marina, where are you going to target that?
I mean, there's obvious places, which is on the 2 main straights, and that it is possible to pass on this circuit. Some have made it, some haven't so far through the weekend. But I hope we're going to see something tonight, because there is some long stretches, some high speeds, over 200 kilometers an hour in these cars, with no driver in. Let's not forget, it's really high speed, and then big braking zones as well.
Well, Julian, I know I got to get you up to the booth. I see your running shoes are on, so get up there and we'll hear you on the comms soon. But it's not only the technology on track. We have a lot of that technology in our show that you're going to see tonight. So, director, roll that tape.
The Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League has attracted media from all around the world. In the past few days, this pit lane has seen a diverse range of outlets, including Gisela Deputato of CNN, YouTuber Supercar Blondie, and also the BBC. They're all here to report on the groundbreaking technology that these cars are using. But there's some equally impressive kit at the TV broadcast, which is bringing the very first autonomous racing car event to life. Just as in a traditional motor racing broadcast, the director and producer have selected positions for cameras around the track, and will combine pictures from these with commentary, graphics and replays into the finished programme you see on the screen. But there are a few special parts of this broadcast that are just as innovative as the autonomous cars on track, and we're going to start right here with Jonathan Youth from Focal Point VR. Now this is quite the setup, Jonathan. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So we've got a number of these setups around the track. They're designed to let viewers jump into the virtual driver's seat to see what the AI sees driving around the track. We've put one of these 8K cameras on each of the autonomous cars. We're streaming video live in real time, less than a fifth of a second, directly to these setups. And if you sit in the seat, put a headset on, then you're in the car, driving up to 300 kilometers an hour.
Viewers can put themselves directly in the driver's seat, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. They get to see what the AI gets to see. There's data on the display so they get to understand what the AI is thinking and the decisions it's making as it's driving.
Now, it's not just viewers at the track that can experience this as well, is it? Viewers at home are also able to.
No, absolutely. We built another app specifically for the standalone VR headsets. So if you've got one of these at home, you go to the Meta App Lab, download the app, put your headset on at home, you'll get this view, you'll also get a view of the track, and you get to see other videos, you get to walk around the pits, you get a full immersive experience.
Wow, fantastic. I think it's time for me to have a go. Whoa! I've snuck into the TV compound to show you one of the second innovations that we have here on the broadcast, and that is the instant ghost graphics. I'm here with Stefan from Giraffics, and he's going to tell us all about it. So Stefan, take it away. What is this?
Right, so we have these modern cars sending GPS data all the time. We're receiving these GPS data, and we built a custom application to transform these into usable data for us. Then we're sending it to our small mobile renderers over here, and they are running an Unreal system. Our Unreal artists rebuilt the racetrack in graphics, so we can then take the data, plot the position, and animate the cars on them.
And what exactly can this show us? Because as you can see, we see both of the cars going around on track. What can we tell from this information as viewers?
So we can compare race laps. What normally, like in the cars race on their own, is not possible. So here we can see if one car is catching another car, how did it do it? Did the other car make a mistake? Did the other car like cut the corners more tightly, more neatly? And then if it's catching up at one point, we can see that on lap. So if we're lucky right here, the second car will be catching the first car, and we can visualize where it happened, why it happened, how it happened.
Wow, it's absolutely fascinating stuff. I'm going to leave you be to make sure you can bring the magic to our screens.
Well, we've already said that we're going to be making history here tonight, but this next part is a bit that your grandchildren might even talk about in the future. We're going to feature a race between AI and a human tonight, and not just any human, that human. Former F1 driver Danny Kvyat, and he caught up with our very own Jolyon Palmer.
Nice to see you, Danny. It's been a while. I think last time we were here probably lining up in Formula One. A few years later, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, nice to see you too, man. Yeah, it's quite different now. Different project and quite futuristic now. So interesting to see. Interesting to see all this going on. Seems like the future is here in a way.
When you got the call up, were you expecting it to look like it does this weekend?
Honestly, when you're at day zero and you see how difficult things might look, you always keep believing, of course, but you never know if it's really gonna come to life, and maybe the expectations were quite low, but now honestly the car is doing a very good job. It's an autonomous car. There are a few teams racing against each other, a few engineering teams, and it's it's great to see what they are achieving. You know, the car really has no driver, and it's doing a very decent job.
And you're the benchmark for it in the first place, getting the data to try and give them a chance to get up to speed. They're getting a little bit closer?
Yeah, they are. Of course, you know, starting from, you know, hardly completing a lap in 10 minutes to then 5 minutes to now being around 10 to 15 seconds away, you know. Obviously, you know how it is. Then the closer you get to the limit, the more difficult it is also to understand, to get closer. But yeah, it's been impressive. The progress, you know, the progress in the end, the competition always brings the progress.
You're going to be racing against this autonomous car, wheel to wheel. We've raced wheel to wheel. You know what to expect from a human driver on the other end. You give them a bit of space, you wait for a lunge maybe. How's that going to be?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's not get too far there. We are not going to be going like me and you used to race. We're going to try to get it to a very decent speed in order that we can, you know, follow each other. We can produce some moves. It's very early stages, but we are going to try to show what these cars can do.
Well, engines were fired here. There is a car heading into the track here at Yas Marina. And with that, please let us welcome our lead commentator on the broadcast tonight, Harry Benjamin. Jolien, you make it up there yet?
He hasn't, Amanda. Not yet. He had the running shoes on, but clearly not quite fast enough. Oh, he's just walked through the door. Perfect timing. We'll let him settle down for the moment. Thank you very much, guys. What an amazing event to be a part of. Under the lights here at Yas Marina, this just over 5.2-kilometer circuit, 16 corners, 9 to the left, 7 to the right, and of course, a mainstay on the Formula One calendar since 2009, designed by Herman Tilke. And Danny Kvyat, who we just heard from there, certainly no stranger to it. We can take, Jolien, a little closer look as to what we're expecting here. You talked about the differences in the sectors. We've seen some of these A2RL cars out on track already. If we're going to see some passes, it's going to be down that long back straight.
It is. It's going to be right about here, coming down turn 5, long straight down towards turn 6, about a kilometre long, and then there's another big run down towards turn 9, past the support pits where they're based. And then this final sector is going to be the one to trip them up. We've seen a couple of incidents through the weekend so far. It's not been plain sailing for everyone, but hopefully we're going to get a nice race later on.
Yeah, as you mentioned, in that final sector where it's technical, tight and twisty, and you do go under the hotel, there's a slight bridge that can affect the GPS systems on the cars, along with the LiDAR and the radar as well. But at the moment, we're going to see the baseline car head out onto this track, the TII car. That is the one that Danny Kvyat has been going up against over the course of the last few days. That car being run by the Technology Innovation Institute, a leading global advanced technology research center in Abu Dhabi, once again leading the way and very much putting out a call to arms as to autonomy and autonomous technology being the way forward. And this is that car out on track at the moment. You'll notice as well the different lights on the top of the roll hoop. Purple at the moment, that shows that AI is fully in control. If it starts to flash red or go full red, that means it is transitioning and AI has now lost control of the car and it is back under human control. But you can hear it, you can see it. If you're trackside watching it as well, you have to almost do a double take, Jolien, don't you, and go, there isn't a driver in this Super Formula car.
It was one of the most bizarre things I've seen turning up here. And obviously we knew the assignment, autonomous vehicles, the push towards new technology that's coming all the time. But then when you see a Super Formula car, now this is a quick car that is not far away from Formula One speeds, and there is no one driving that. And there's no one controlling this as it is from the side of the track either. This is the crucial thing. This is done on code. So there's been a team of people putting in the detail that the computer on board this car needs to learn and understand all the inputs, all the parameters that go into what normally would make a driver think when to brake, when to accelerate. There's a computer on board that, and that is just learning the way around based on a preset code from a team of very, very smart people in the garage, and now it's just running its thing.
And you mentioned the code. This is the car that has created the baseline code that has gone into the computer stacks that have been given to all 8 teams that will take part, or that have been taking part so far this weekend in Attack and Defend, which you'll see a little later on, along with qualifying and the race. The TIR car is out there at the moment. That is a driver. That is Daniel Kvyat in the car, the former Formula One driver. Turned 30 years old yesterday, just making some last checks before he heads out of the car. He's been a bit of a driver, and a driver quite literally for this championship and series, making sure that the AI can continuously improve and learn, because with every lap, with every corner, that AI car, Jolien, is getting tens of gigabytes of data that's fed back to develop that code through all the different sensors that you can actually see on top of that roll hoop. There, the purple, then you've got the VR camera, 6 cameras on that car to help it around this track, along with GPS, the radar and the LiDAR.
It's learning all the way, and that's got to be the case. It's got to be a case of continual learning and evolution. The benefit a driver has is that they can compute that immediately, the feel of grip, the feel of what to do when. And they can right now
manage to change things on the fly as Kvyat gets launched, and we're going to see 2 cars on the circuit. I was amazed at how relaxed he was at the prospect of going wheel to wheel with a car that had no human control at this stage, just AI, but he backs the process, and we're going to see it.
And we know Kvyat can certainly do a dive down the inside, whether there's a driver in the car or not, based off of his Formula One history. A 2-time podium finisher, was in Formula One from 2014 to 2020 with a year off prior to that, reserving for the Alpine Formula One team. Best finish, though, of 9th in Abu Dhabi over his years. Couldn't quite get higher than a couple of points, but certainly a top-level driver to have in this car, to drive it forward, and he gets the beauty of being in what is essentially a super formula car, which is the best car you can get in terms of raw speed and pace outside of Formula One. It is based on that Dallara chassis used in the Japanese Super Formula Championship, 4-cylinder, turbocharged Honda engine in the back. Kvyat getting up to speed now as he makes his way into the braking zone. Let's see how quickly he can catch up to the TII car and see if he can try and make an overtake.
And did you notice that he was weaving on the back straight out of turn 5, trying to generate some tyre temperature? Now it's cooler. These Yokohama tyres take a little bit of time to build up the temperature, and of course for the AI car, they're learning this and they've got to judge it about right. It's a knife edge between pushing too hard too soon and just spinning, and just not being quick enough to build up the temperature as well. So our human driver is closing in with a bit of a weaving, getting those tyres working. We'll see how he's going to interact with an autonomous car.
TII car making its way underneath the hotel now, through the double left-hander of 13 and 14. We've seen a lot of our A2RL cars have a few issues coming through this part of the track, and there in the background, stalking the AI, is the human of Daniel Kvyat. He's going to close up to him. Where, though? Could he make the move round the final corner? He's had plenty of practice of this, and it's going to be catching up to him on the main straight. Kvyat with a little look to the inside, but he doesn't want to try anything too brave into turn 1, but closes up right through the corner.
Yeah, waiting now. Turn 2 and 3, left-hander, and then into the right. And then we'll get down towards turn 5. He's just waiting for his chance to come through. Doesn't want to do anything silly, put a nose in where the AI is not expecting it. Is he going to have a little look into turn 5? Waiting
like
again.
He might.
Nah, he's waiting.
He decides to tuck in behind, just following that AI car. The car in front does not have a human driver in it. The car behind does, and now the driver makes his way through. That is Daniel Kvyat, takes that inside line, gets onto the dirty side of the track, and that is where we thought the move would come. Down the back straight, over 1.1 kilometer back straight, makes up the majority of this 5.28 kilometer track. Kvyat goes through for the first time. He can now speed away and try and catch up to the back again. But if you're expecting traditional motorsport racing action, this is not what we're showing you here. We're showing you how quickly autonomous technology and AI can move forward through learnings from humanity, and in the end, helping to assist humanity in making those strides forward. The technology used at the moment in the vehicle of what is motorsport to try and take it as far forward as possible. Kvyat now slows up, ducks in behind, and will try again for another move. But this is what we're witnessing here. Essentially, it's a public science experiment.
Shows a little nose into the triple right-hander. So the autonomous car slowed right up as well, passing Kvyat on the back straight there. And it obviously sensed the object around. They've got multiple sensors out there to determine where they are. The GPS, which is a dual antenna system, and that can self-localize the car. So when they're out there now, the autonomous car knows exactly where it is, and it can stay on the line. And that is your first part. The second part is your LiDAR and your radar, which is sending out radio waves and light beams to detect where the barriers are, but also where your other drivers are, where your car is, I should say, not your other drivers, one driver at the moment. And that is what the autonomous car on the last lap could obviously detect. That slows up, saw a space, and went through.
There was a late duck out from the underside of the TII car for Kvyat, who makes his way through again. We'll see where he slows up. And absolutely, I mean, let's just dive into that a little bit more. So you had that GPS system, focus on the TII car there, which you can see making its way through again. Fiat slowing down. That, as Jolien said, is used to localize the car. It's a dual antenna GPS. You've got one on the nose of the car and the second above the virtual reality camera near the roll hoop, which you can see above the purple lighting, indicating that AI is in control. So that's how the car knows where it is on the track. Fiat, once again, makes his way through on that back straight. Then you have 4 radar sensors, 3 LiDAR sensors, and 7 cameras. You've got 6 at the front, 1 at the back, needed for that camera lock, so teams can develop the car and can detect whenever it's passing or being passed. So that's exactly showcased in what we're watching right now.
We're not going to see any trademark via smoky lockup lunges.
A torpedo down the inside.
Oh, you've said it, not me. We're not going to see a torpedo move on the inside today. I think he's going to give the autonomous car as much chance to not get involved in an incident today as possible. So he's giving it a nice wide berth, but we're nonetheless seeing how the two can pass and repass, and how we know the human will see what's around him and adjust accordingly. But so will the AI car, which is just following him around right now. And this is really, it's just pioneering technology, isn't it? Eventually, this is all with the greater good of moving towards autonomous road cars and a big technology advancement which we're seeing. And this is just the first demonstration of it around here.
Yeah, and it goes so far as well. This is the first stage. There have been other autonomous drives involving vehicles, but this is the first time we'll see later today multiple cars with no driver inside, powered purely by autonomous technology on the track at the same time. That is a first, as Fiat dives into the pit lane. The TII car continues to go around, again, gathering more and more data. And as Jolien alluded to, this is looking to the future and how we can apply it to what we do in our everyday lives, whether that's through safety, road safety, and reducing human errors with inside vehicles, or even efficiency, optimizing road routes, self-driving vehicles for those that might maybe not be able to drive, those who are underage who need to get places, or those who are disabled and unable to drive. That is what this technology is being used to develop for, that accessibility, as well as all the other benefits that can come from it. And I think the idea of this, Jolien, being incredibly and fully transparent as well. The main grandstand is absolutely packed out. And I think that hopefully reduces a lot of the stigma for people around this.
Well, exactly. This is innovation, technology, unfolding in front of our very eyes. We don't know what's going to come up later when the 4 of them race each other. This is a human versus AI. So one thing that's important is going to be to see how humans can interact with AI, and that's going to be relevant for the road as well. But later on, there's still plenty to unfold.
Well, the TII fully autonomous car continues to pound in the laps. Let's head to Amanda.
I have to tell you, the fans down here have been on their feet cheering along to the action on track. It was a planned stop for Danny here, who's off to the side of this interview, but talking with Giovanni off camera, watching your team take in this moment, and even yourself in your body language, what is this like for you?
Well, it's an incredible excitement. It's like after 6 months of no sleep, nothing else than working, we finally brought it here. It's the first time in human history that we have an autonomous car and a human car and truck at the same time passing each other. I think tonight we are making history, basically. And the whole team is like super excited and also super freaking out because we have 20,000 people. So if you fail with 20,000 people. But thanks to the work of everybody, looks like we're going to do a good show tonight.
I will never get over the fact that a driverless race car just went past us here at the start-finish line. How proud are you?
Very proud. Me and my team. As I like to say, I'm just the face of the 20 people behind me that made this possible.
Congratulations to the Technology Innovation Institute. Guys, it's just the beginning tonight.
Thank you, thank you.
It certainly is, Amanda. Thank you for that. The TII car continues to make its way around. This is a fully autonomous car that we are watching on track right now. There is no driver. It is powered by code, and that is what A2RL is all about. It's pioneering the future of transport, pushing boundaries, stress testing autonomous vehicles on the racetrack for safety on our roads. They're also inspiring the next generation of STEM talent, programming driven by talented teams to find the workforce of the future, as well as accelerating here in Abu Dhabi the knowledge economy, along with creating an impact beyond the track as well. This is a tech exploration that is just beginning through the vehicle of racing and motorsport, but as you may have seen at the top of the show, with plans too, Jolien, to go off-road and drones and boats as well. In fact, we've seen at the track here the drone Champions League drone being showcased around the grandstands. That'll be in action in next year from 2025. And one thing to remember as well, when we see our teams out on track later, they all got their hands on this car, what, a month and a half ago? The rate of knots of the improvement is incredible within that short amount of time.
Yeah, it really is. And what we can see also now, now Kvyat's come into the pits, the AI car's pressing on a little bit more as well and getting closer to his pace. And I spoke to Danny yesterday as well, and he was saying he's been here for a while testing the car, giving the baseline, and when he turned up, the other teams turned up late, and they were sort of minutes trying to get around the track, just at very low speed. And slowly but surely, they've got to a pace now where they're about 10 seconds away from what Kvyat can do. 10 seconds away. So it's off the back of a field, but it's not a million miles away, and that's in a short space of time, trying to learn and improve. And now we can see the car leaning on a little bit, particularly in some of the longer, fast corners, turn 9, where he's now blasting up towards, I keep saying he, where it is blasting up towards.
That's going to have to be a change to get used to, isn't it?
It is, it really is all change, down towards turn 6 and 7, moving towards the racing line. And it's quite precise. Getting to the apex, little kiss of the apex curves, out wide, that's a nice line through there, and then it's flinging it into this corner, turn 9, where you can see the G-force is building. There's no driver in there to feel it, but the car still will.
Under the lights in Yas Marina, where the temperature has dropped. This, the TII fully autonomous car, powered by the Technology Innovation Institute. Then going up against that man there, Daniel Kvyat. Little wave to the camera, who is no slouch either, a Formula 1 driver, a former F1 driver, of course, a champion in GP3, racing in NASCAR this year as well, along with a hypercar in the World Endurance Championship. He knows how to race multiple cars at the top line of this sport. So to have him as a benchmark from the very beginning to improve these AI cars is phenomenal. With every lap that goes round, they gain more and more data to put in to the code. They have the corner brake actuators that are basically the legs of the car, the steering actuator, which is the hands, and then you have the brain, essentially, the computer.
And this is a serious setup. Super Formula car, I mentioned, it's quick, it's fast. This is, it's an experiment in front of everyone, as Giovanni was saying, with a bit of pressure, but these cars, they're expensive, they're fast, they're really elite cars that this experiment is taking part on. And Kvyat is an elite driver. We know that as well. This is not starting off on a low baseline. This is the intent that A2RL is striving for, to get autonomy in fast machines and show what it can do.
Do you think we could get to a stage where, you know, as a racing driver, when you were in Formula 1, could AI get to a point where it tries to help you? Well, you can answer that question, and I can throw down to Amanda, who's with Danny.
Well, he was given a wave to us earlier, and now he's agreed to have a little conversation before he heads out back on track. And Danny, man, we were watching that all on pins and needles down here, but you were on track with the AI race car. What was that experience like?
Yeah, we are seeing some history here today, which is great to be part of it. And it was hard to imagine not long ago that this could happen, you know, artificial intelligence cars. And now they are there doing a very good job. It's a very good development for the future and very interesting for all the engineers and technology people involved in it. It's great.
one of the themes of this weekend is going beyond. How true is that statement?
Sorry?
How true is the statement of going beyond here tonight?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, we are giving our best, and it's great. It's fantastic to see this technology, the car without the driver. It's probably true, yeah.
We'll let Danny get back into race mode. I was talking to the CEO of Dallara, guys, and he was telling me that the lap times between the AI and the human may actually be closer than we think. The console for the AI weighs about 100 kilograms, which would be about 2 seconds per lap to the human. But not only that, around the lap of Yas Marina, the AI car is not taking the curbing, and that would be 4 seconds. So 2 + 4, I'm counting 6 there, guys. So who knows? We might be closer than we think.
Well, that's exactly it, isn't it? Thanks, Amanda. This is progressing at a huge rate, and really, A2RL and everybody involved in it. The idea has been going now for just over a year, but the actual advancements, getting the cars, finding and creating the teams and getting TII involved with the code, this has been the best part of just over 2 months. Think what we could do in another 2.
The rate of progress is really quite amazing. The technology racing life generally is moving at such a fast pace, but this is one of the key movers in the future of technology, automation.
And it's looking quick. It's looked quicker since Fiat went in the pits.
Yeah, well, I said it, and Amanda's just done the math. 6 seconds that it could find. So the car's not designed to be taking the curbs. That's an extra element. It puts load through the components, the gearbox, the engine. There's unknowns on the grip. So there is margin built into this car right now. You'd see with a racing driver fully fledged in qualifying mode, they'd be crawling over the curbs. They're quite flat around this circuit, but this car is not designed to right now. So there is margin there for the performance, but nonetheless, off the curbs, which would give you a little bit more speed through the corners with your classic racing lines, it's looking pretty good, and it goes right up to it. It's bang on the white line coming out of turn 1. It's pretty pinpoint.
Well, let's see how it continues to head round this track. We'll hopefully see Fiat out in a moment, but for the time being, this car going round the Yas Marina Circuit at the moment is completely autonomous. Welcome back to Yas Marina Circuit for the first ever Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League. Right now, we are witnessing history being made. This car on screen, based on the Japanese Super Formula car, except it doesn't have a driver in it. This is powered fully by AI, autonomous technology, and this being run by TII, the Technological Institute that is backing this series, making its way around. We've had former Formula 1 driver Danny Kvyat already out on track. He's just popped back into the pits for a quick chat with us, and now he is making his way back onto the circuit again. The times are closer than you think, but we're not looking to showcase an AI car being outright better and faster at this stage. We are looking to progress the technology to see how close this technology that is packed into that car can get to a human in the same level of machinery.
And it's really not bad when you see the car coming through. No driver, no helmet to look at, just the cover there of the computer and the data stack that is controlling this underneath there. And it is the computer is where all of the code, which is broken down into different elements, is all stored on a computer underneath the hood where the cockpit is. You'd think it would get really hot as well. Any computational device starts to get warm when it's really working, but there's a lot of airflow, of course, coming through over this car, particularly when it builds up speed. There's slits in the front to try and get some cooling in, and it does a good job lap after lap.
And also, we're under the lights right now. The temperature has cooled compared to the daytime, where these cars do also run at on-track temperature at the moment around 32 degrees, air temperature 29 degrees Celsius out there. Tyre temp in the evening here in Abu Dhabi has been a real issue for the AI cars. You can see Fiat getting temperature into those tyres by weaving down towards that left-hander of turn 9. The slightly banked corner makes its way through. And this TII car waiting to be caught up. You can see the brake discs lighting up. Doesn't quite do the weaving, but the more laps it puts in, the more the temperatures come up to speed. But we're seeing the other teams involved in this league having to keep the cars underneath gazebos due to the blistering sunshine in the daylight here, and continuing round.
So they want to keep the computers cool, but the tyres hot, and that is because you notice Kvyat does the weaving. The AI car doesn't, so it's just going continuously around, building tyre temperature as it goes, and then that's feeding back to live telemetry to self-learn and continually improve. But they don't yet have the capacity to introduce the weaving and the brake warming as efficiently as a driver.
But that will come. A question for you, Jolie. When you were in Formula One, was there anything, and it doesn't even have to be from the driving sense, was there anything where you thought, oh, it'd be good if this could just do itself, could do it for me? Because I suppose that's what we're getting to here. We're developing
some of my media days
to assist humans. You mean you didn't enjoy talking to the media?
No, I've always loved the media, Harry.
Surely, you know, in long briefings after races, if there was a way to increase the efficiency of things and getting the data across, that surely is something that AI can help with.
I mean, well, technology is such a huge part in motorsport generally, and Formula One is so complex. You've already got instant feeds between the tracks. So when we race here in Abu Dhabi, there is a huge team of people back at base, and you've got instant access to information across. But it's all humans on either side. Now, processes on data gathering and quickly whittling down to what you want is improved with AI technology as well to be able to enhance a search and quickly improve your access to information rather than going through huge booklets of files and things. It's such a high-tech sport, motorsport in general, and that's why this is the platform for these sort of experiments. That everything, or most of the things where performance is involved, is still up to the humans, and that's going to be the case still. Formula One is a sport about the humans. We want to tune in and see the drivers, see the strategists. Human error comes into play. This is something separate. This is autonomy. This is where you want to see no error. You want to see how perfect things can be.
And slowly getting to that stage. Danny Fiat out there at the moment in the TII autonomous A2RL car, trying to catch back up to this fully autonomous car. And one with a driver in it, one without. But also, we're not just doing things on the track here. We have A2RL STEM as well, fostering the technology leaders of tomorrow, really, inspiring young people and garnering that next generation of scientists, of engineers, of coders, of future robotics engineers, trying to tackle some of the most difficult problems that face humanity. This is a STEM project that is targeting children between adults between the age of 16 and 21, created right here in the heart of Abu Dhabi in collaboration with Yas Schools and Autonoma Labs. There's 19 workshops which give teams the skills and the knowledge to develop control systems for their small-scale autonomous race cars. We've been seeing that championship take place as well over in the fan zone, where there is so much to do as well. If you are here trackside, so much on offer. You could have seen the STEM competition. There's live shows, music as well. Trying to pack in a full entertainment package that is kicking off right here with these cars on track. This is the first time we've seen these AI cars out on track. We will also be getting a glimpse of how attack and defend has gone as well, one of the parts of the format for our 8 teams that are involved in this first ever Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League. That's coming up very, very shortly, along with qualifying for all 8 teams, the top 4 making their way through to the grand finale taking place in, well, just over half an hour's time, where we will see for the first time ever in history 4 autonomous cars on track at the same time racing. That has never been done before. And this, just the very start with the autonomous car out on track, along with Danny Fiat. Round the final corner for the TII car, cross the line again. Fiat not catching up too quickly, is he?
No, they're racking up the laps, all working okay at the moment.
So Fiat's last lap was a 1:46, so getting a little bit closer. That's his kind of average time that he's been doing, really, Fiat. If we look for the outright Formula 1 lap record, of course, Formula 1 cars are inherently quicker than Super Formula cars anyway. That's around a 1:26.1, which Max Verstappen
roughly a 1:26.1.
Roughly a 1:26.103, just off the top of my head. 1:46 at the moment for Fiat is around about what he's doing. The TII car, on average, been around 10 seconds or so slower.
If they wanted to try and get as quick as possible, I have not got a time on it, so I can't tell exactly what it's doing right now, but it certainly doesn't look millions of miles away. Kvyat's back in the pits once again, so leaves just the autonomous car out there. Wanted to get down towards a 150, which would be 4 seconds away. I don't know if they've achieved that, but it's certainly, with a long run here, getting a little bit closer all the time. And Kvyat's not mucking around. He's working in the car. As a racing driver, anytime you jump in, you're working, you're pushing. That's the fun of driving.
It certainly is. Right, let's head back down to Amanda.
Gentlemen, I teased that stat earlier from the CEO of Dallara, and I have found him, Andrea Patrick-Mali. I tried my best there. I have watched you this last session, and you have been holding up your phone, taking videos with the biggest smile. You told me off camera that this is an emotion for you. Which emotion?
Yeah, it's really an emotion because for the first time, you know, the same car, you can see it with a real driver and an autonomous driver. And we are asking artificial intelligence that is on board to do something that is really human. So to take a risk to overtake. And it's something that is unbelievable from my point of view. It's really an emotion.
Dallara is supplying the chassis for these race cars. How important is this for your brand to be associated with tonight?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that today, here in Abu Dhabi, we are writing a piece of history because it's the first time that we have seen a human against a computer.
That smile does not lie, guys. Enjoy it, Andrea.
Yeah, thank you for everything. And I am also very happy to see how crowded it is here. So thank you, guys.
Well, we do have a race coming up, and for all of the information going on in the support pits, let's go to our Alex Brundle and Kojo.
Kojo has made his way down to the pit lane.
Yes.
We're also joined by Rodrigo Senafini, pole-sitting team principal of the race. It will happen later on. But first, I've got to get a reaction from you, man. What about that autonomous race car against human driver? How did that look to you?
Do you know, you can hear it. Like it's history being made. We're in Abu Dhabi, and who thought I'd be able to see a human driver and an autonomous car? It's absolutely amazing.
Rodrigo, you're standing here watching, transfixed by this alongside us. How do you think your machine will be doing out there against the XF1 star?
Of course, we hope that we are doing the best to push the car to the limit and to get the best possible lap ever in. Of course, it's a big challenge because this is the very first time we are putting cars on 4 cars on track, autonomous cars, that will race once against each other.
Do you know what? I've been here for the last couple of days and I've seen how much effort you put in. But it's race day. How are you and your team feeling?
I mean, we are feeling really excited. We have been working on that car for 2 months now, so we are putting all our effort in that big show tonight, and we hope we are going to have the best race ever.
Talk to us about the conditions here, because it's a lot different from the conditions under which you qualified. We've seen teams having issues in the nighttime conditions. So what needs to change now to give a good performance against the other cars in the race?
Of course, the key point here is to have a good tire management, because now the track is cold. Usually we go out during at 12 o'clock when we do our practice. It's really hot usually. Now it's windy, it's really cold, so the best way to have a good lap in is to put the tires into temperature, and then you can start pushing to obtain the best lap possible.
F1 is absolutely crazy. You know, we know how much personalities drive that sport. And you mentioned the coding. What personality does your code deliver?
If I want to compare my code to an animal, I would say it's a panther.
Ooh,
I mean, it's
nice.
like, you know, it's there, it's nice and docile, but when the car needs to attack, she goes and she sent in a big dive bomb in turn 1, hopefully, to get the first place.
Polymove, a panther, ready to pounce, Amanda. Are you ready for it?
Oh, and take a look at the hugs behind me. The TII team is just beside themselves in excitement. You can hear the round of applause. We talked earlier in the broadcast about the attack and defend challenge that we saw here yesterday, and that is with the AI cars passing each other on track. Here's a highlight of it.
Pushing to the limit of what is possible with autonomous technology in motorsport. Attack and defend took place a little earlier. 2 cars on track, one attacking, the other defending. Whichever car has the most overtakes, or if no overtakes, finish the furthest ahead of their rival, takes the win. The sun shining down on this Yas Marina circuit, and we'll be seeing Polymove versus Team Tum and Code 19 versus Constructor. 2 cars on track at the same time. Green light on at the end, and first up, Jolyon Palmer. It was Polymove versus Team Tum. Team Tum, the chaser.
2 of our favourites out here, out on track together. Very capable of running cars on their own, but can they do their attacking? Can they do their defending? The idea is that we're going to get some good side-by-side, and it happens straight away on the back straight.
Yeah, down that long 1.14 kilometre back straight. Team Tum from Germany on the inside, trying to make the move on the Polymove team, and then chaos into the braking zone, right into the back of the Polymove car, and that was both of them out of attack and defend.
Yeah, Tom expected Polymove to be braking a lot later than it did. The Italian team's car braking early. Tom moving across to take more of a racing line and just piled into the back of it. So head in hands time there. Bit of coding gone wrong.
So a real shame for the coders and the engineers back in the garage, but that's what we're doing. We're pushing to the limits and straight out again on track. This time was Code 19, the American racing team, Maverick, and behind them, Constructor AI from Germany doing the attacking, making their way around. Slow and steady start, trying to analyze what is around them, but Constructor keen to get an overtake on the Code 19 racing car in front.
Yeah, it's been a little bit quicker so far, but can it make it through cleanly? We've already seen how difficult that can be, but on the back straight, there we go, up through the gears and makes a clean pass with plenty of space.
Nice move down the back straight for Constructor, the German team, looking to shape up what is possible with AI technology and shape the future, and across the line, and a win for Team Constructor. Happy days in the back of the garage for the Germans.
Well, after the attack and defend challenge, we also had qualifying here. There were 2 sessions yesterday and 1 session this morning to see who was going to compete in this race here tonight. And there was a lot of activity on track. You have to imagine that the 8 teams from across the world, what a moment it is for all of them to be here in Abu Dhabi at Yas Marina at such an iconic track, competing against each other. We're going to start with the highlights from qualifying.
Qualifying then for the first ever Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League. 8 teams, 8 completely autonomous cars, all on track. And ahead of us, 3 sessions, and it's the top 4 fastest times overall for all 3 sessions who will go through to the race. Maverick out on track. That's the Code 19 racing car from America with issues, Jolien.
Yeah, that's not gone well straight away for Maverick. Then Code 19, the American team, and that stopped with 2 corners to run straight out of the pits. A lot of concern, and they've just looked like they've lost connectivity to that car.
Team TUM, the German team, Haley, the name of the car, been looking quick. One of the contenders all throughout the build-up to this weekend, making their way through the triple right-hander.
Yeah, I spoke to the team earlier. They said this sector is going to be the challenge for them. They're good through 2. They're neat and tidy. This is where the GPS can sometimes struggle. You go underneath the hotel here. Spectacular venue, but difficult for them to get the code right, but they're through there okay.
Through that tricky sector where you go underneath the hotel. That's had an impact on the GPS system for all cars all weekend long. But this is nice from Haley and Team TUM. Purple sector 1, purple sector 2, round the final corner to the line. It's going to be provisional pole. They find over 5 seconds.
That was a really nice, clean lap. Very happy in the garage. The car's going to come back in one piece, and they are on the top of the times. Brilliant run.
Elation.
Let's have a look at how it was then with the Ghost car. Unimore in the red, TUM in the blue. And Unimore actually started that lap ahead. And in the first sector, you can see the confidence then from TUM, the German team, running the slightly wider line, conservative on line, but not in terms of speed. And once again, through the high speed now, pulling right, they're neck and neck. And again, just able to take a little bit more speed, bit more commitment there. And well, you can see they're neck and neck all the way down towards turn 5, but TUM just slowly nudging ahead.
China and the UAE teaming up for Fly Eagle. Fei Ying at the wheel and a little to their left and right. There's issues there for Fei Ying, the Khalifa University team backing that, and it comes to a stop.
Oh, you could see they lost the GPS there, I think. They lost the self-localization. It's going okay, and then suddenly, wants to pitch left. Then it goes right, and just about avoids the wall. Hopefully saw that coming with the help of the radar. Slammed on the brakes.
We can see right on board with Fei Ying. This is coming down past the support pits to the right. Okay, first sector into the wall for Fei Ying. Is that another localization issue?
Yeah, they're really struggling out there. Just running such low speed, trying to get a lap on the board, but once again, just pitching to the right. I'll tell you what, there was someone over that pit wall as well. Must have been pretty shaky for them.
Straight into the wall for Fei Ying, then coming to a stop on track. Kinetis on track, that's the UAE and Singapore entry. Sparks, the name of the car. They had an okay run earlier on and just really going rather slowly. Tentative lap, into the wall. Just made it through that last part of the triple right-hander, and it cuts out.
That's an error in the code, I reckon, and a grimace in the pits there for Kinetis. They just turned it too early for the corner. It's a triple right-hander there. Didn't get it right.
They had an okay run in the build-up to qualifying today, but sadly, disappointment from the whole team. Polymove then on track. Eva, the name of the car. They've been looking quick, and what has happened there? Lock up on the straight, all 4 wheels smoking, full stop.
That looks like a sudden kill switch there for Polymove. One of the favourites, but they're not going to get a time on the board, building up the speed. And then all of a sudden, screech, on go the brakes, 4 tyres locked up. That's an automatic stop.
Getting ready for the second of our 3 qualifying time trial sessions. Now, under the lights.
Unimore on a better lap here. Difficult conditions, but this is fastest in the first 2 sectors. They're going to complete the lap. And can they go to the top of the times?
Across the line, and it is to the top. Quickest so far in the session for Unimore.
Let's have a look then compared with TUM. The same 2 we looked at in the earlier session. TUM still ahead overall. Unimore getting a time on the board, but in the cooler evening session, struggling to get those tyres warmed up. They've got round, they're in one piece. Once again, TUM in the high-speed corners, able to carry that a little bit more. Still pretty close between these 2. It's a battle that looks like it's going to rage on and on.
cutting-edge technology here for us on the broadcast, but also for the teams getting to watch this as well. The insight, the different lines, the different way the code is implemented between the two teams, clear as day.
And they're able to learn from this as well, the Ghost Car, their first look at how they're getting on with their rivals.
Code 19 back on track then in this second session. Had a tough first time trial, had a tough time of it so far. Just trying to set a lap time. It's slow as you like across the line, but they'll be pleased to make it round a full lap. It's over 3.5 minutes, but we are pushing the limits of technology, and that is a lap time on the board.
Yeah, that's the first thing for them. Didn't get a run in this morning, so they've got to put something on the board, get the car back in one piece. End of the lap then with Constructor. They're already down on Unimore's time. One corner to go, the right-hander. Got to be careful with that rear slip. So easy to light it up with his cool tyres.
German team across the line, second fastest. Okay lap from Constructor. And then another look at the Ghost Car here. The two of them just seeing the differences in pace and line.
Yeah, these are the two German teams then. TUM, provisional pole, and just leagues ahead of Constructor. Constructor on the board, but again, the confidence that TUM have got, and it's allowing them to keep the commitment through this first sector. The higher speed corners, and they are long gone out front, aren't they?
Clear as day. Team TUM out on track again, and they have been fast, but at the moment, qualifying is proving tricky for them. And off the line, the red light flashes, and to a stop comes Team TUM.
Yep, that is engine off then. They're trying to work out if they can get anything going, but the lap is over. So the fastest team so far not able to improve, and it just loses the connectivity there. You can see the purple light turns to a flashing red, and that is heading to the barriers and heading to a stop for Team TUM.
Another look at it here, round that banked left-hander. You can see there, it just cuts out, immediately halts on the brake, offline. Discussions then at the back of the garage.
So Polymove need a lap on the board, one of the favourites, and they starting into turn one. We know the temperature a little bit cooler, so they've got to be cautious. Whoa, not like that.
And that is what happens under the lights, colder temperatures, as you say, Jolien, and round goes Polymove, who are having a struggle at the moment in these first two sessions, but they've got the pace.
Yeah, but are they going to be able to get that going again? I don't think so. And quite rightly, some frowns there and scowls in the garage. This should be quite a quick car, but it's pointing backwards. And I think that is just a case of going too aggressive on their settings, given the cooler temperatures under the lights. Not able to fire the tyres up in just a lap of outlap, and they've gone in too fast too soon and spun it round.
Polymove then, work being done in the back of garage. They will get another go in the third time trial. Car still out on the track.
There'll be some pressure on that last lap for them.
Fly Eagle, Fei Ying, the name of the car, just hoping to get round in a clean lap. We've already seen them in the wall. Lock up going into the left-hander, all four tyres locked up, and round goes Fei Ying. Cold tyres, Jolien?
Well, we saw it with Polymove, didn't we, earlier on, and it looks like Fly Eagle, Fei Ying have fallen victim of exactly the same thing. This on the brakes, though, too much braking for the grip level of the tyres. Then they turn it in. No way is that going to stick through turn one at this time of day. Maybe earlier on they'd have had a chance, but they're another team, nothing on the board after their earlier issues. Another team up against it for the last run tomorrow.
Struggling with localization of the car. Fei Ying and the Fly Eagle team, China and the UAE, coming together for this entry, pushing the boundaries of science.
So this is another big lockup that they had then down towards the chicane, and then it stops. Lost a bit of GPS self-localization. Too much brake pressure a lot of the time in these evening sessions, and another bit of head scratching. They'll need to get back in that code and work out the calibration for day versus night.
Back into the sunlight then for the third and final qualifying time trial. Each car will get 2 laps to set their fastest flyer. Unimore back out on track. Gianna, the name of the car. Unimore have been looking quick, been looking pacey. Fastest in the first sector of anybody, trying to get as close to that 2-minute time, if not dip under it. It has been done, and they are pushing hard on the run down to the left-hander of turn 9.
Pinned all the way down to 9. I tell you what, braking late and throwing the car in as well. The tyres are working now, and they're up on Tum's lap from yesterday. This is looking pretty good here.
Nice, clean exit. Personal best in sector 2, coming into that triple right-hander. Difficult at the best of times, but one small blip in the coding and you can find yourself with an error. You can find yourself in the wall, but so far, especially dipping under the bridge, GPS holding out.
Yeah, there's a little bit of margin to either side. There's more room to use on the right. There's plenty more room to use on the apex, but they're able to keep the cornering speeds up now. Screeching through the penultimate corner, 1 to go. You can see how much margin is left. There's so much more in there for Unimore, but this might still do it.
There is more to come from Gianna, but across the line, and they're doing everything they need to right now to the top of the times for Gianna and Unimore.
That was conservative still. There's plenty more to unlock, but that's the job done so far.
Round of applause from the Polymove team. Unimore, Polymove out on track. Eva, the name of the car, striking livery, looking to try and get some lap on the board. They are quick. We thought they were going to be one of the favourites, but issues have so far plagued them in the first 2 time trials. But that was a decent first sector.
And they are leading on, really leading on it through the high speeds. They're past the corner where they had the spin yesterday. The hotter temperatures coming towards this car, and they're getting a little bit closer to the conventional racing line as well. Fastest in the first sector, now stretching the legs of Eva. And let's see what speed we can hit. And they got a pummel on the brakes when they get down to this corner.
Had an incident as well earlier on in the attack and defend. Onto the brakes then, down the end of that 1.14 kilometre back straight, through the left-hander of 6, out of the right-hander of 7, the support pits on the right-hand side. It's purple sector 1 so far for Eva and Polymove, the Italian team, the Politecnico Milano entry, who have a excellent track record with autonomous racing, have the outright land speed record for an autonomous car, and are so far finding themselves gaining more and more lap time. They haven't got a lap on the board yet. They need to get this lap done and dusted round the triple right-hander into the final sector where we go underneath the bridge at the hotel.
They're getting closer to the conventional lines. This is the really technical section. First of all, you've got to keep your GPS localized. They're using that, the LiDAR, the radar, and cameras all at once to make sure this thing stays on the track, and it is doing so. 1 corner to go, and this might even be top spot.
Polymove then looking to try and find their competitive edge round the final corner. The sun shines, and across the line for Eva, and it is fastest. New pole lap at the top of the board. And the team, you can see, elated with that one. It took them a while, but they finally got a lap on the board.
We knew they'd be competitive, but they just hadn't done anything, and that was risk versus reward for the coders at Polymove. How much do they push for pole? How much do they get just a lap on the board? But from the first corner, they were already ahead then of their Italian rivals. Unimore slightly behind, lost it in the first sector, and these two were pretty neck and neck through the whole lap. Unimore slightly quicker through the high-speed corners at turn 2 and 3. The car's stiffly sprung, difficult to get the temperature in, but that is how their run there through that bumpy section. The racing lines just changing slightly. Unimore able to get a better exit. Polymove turning in a little earlier. These are racing driver sort of reactions as well. Do you turn in early? Do you try and get the better exit? Unimore there with a better exit. You can see the advantage then coming down this long back straight, but we are talking hundredths of a second between these two for half a lap here.
This was neck and neck between the two Italian titans who have so far had the competitive edge from the get-go, have a little bit more of an advantage over some of the other teams due to having more experience with autonomous technology, but constantly pushing, and it is so close.
Unimore have got more confidence coming out of the corners. There's a Polymove a little bit quicker generally going in. Let's see if that's true for turn 9, which is quite a different corner. Neck and neck down the straight, and there we go. Polymove slightly ahead now coming into the braking zone. Long left-hand at turn 9. Unimore able to keep the G going, and they typically have been good on the exit. Polymove trying to get a tighter line, and that benefits them then getting the power down.
Right, this isn't racing just yet, but it could well tease us up for what is to come. The different racing lines, the different code implemented on each of these cars, showcased here, different entry lines, different apex exits. These two Italian teams, Polymove ahead at the moment, Unimore behind, and Polymove finding that time and now finding that advantage in that final sector. The Hungarian team, Honda Lab, this, the car, Hugo, decent lap, Sector 1 and Sector 2, really trying to break in to that top 4, currently 5th, a little bit of a wobbly entry, comes to a bit of a slow to the line, they just need to get to it, and I think they're going to just miss out on this.
Oh, that was close for Honda Lab, but they are 5th. They needed another 1.5 seconds. It was that close in the end for the team.
Well, this is how it currently looks then. It is Eva, Team Polymove at the top, a 2-minute 0.6, 6/10 between the top two. Then it's half a second back to Haley. That's Team TUM. Constructor AI rounding out the top 4.
TUM with the chance then as they come down towards turn 5. Can they get the pole position back on this final? They need a good half a lap. Oh no!
Oh, they're off! Through the left-hander, approaching the back straight. They needed this lap to count, and the car has come to a halt. The team can't believe it. This was the make or break moment for TUM.
Just as they were starting to get it fired up, that's such a crucial corner exit, and the car just pivoted to the right and lost the connectivity again.
Well, this is how it looks then. Polymove with the quickest time, but 1.2 seconds between the top 3. Constructor AI just pip Honda Lab, and they make it through into the top 4 for the grand finale, racing it out around Abu Dhabi.
So close. Any of those 3 teams, not much in it.
Well, as we saw a lot there in those qualifying highlights, it is the highs and low of motorsports that were evident throughout that. But if you're a TV geek like me, you may have saw that ghost car as well. And I have to add, that thing renders in real time. Wow. Well, guys, I want to know what happened with the ghost car and the top 3. Harry, what'd you see?
Yeah, it's a real cutting-edge piece of technology, Amanda. We saw it a little bit in qualifying, and the turnaround is magnificent, not only for us to witness this on the broadcast, but for the teams in the garages as well. So this is the top 3 qualifiers. It's Polymove who are leading the way in the yellow and black. Then it's Unimore in the orange and black, and then Team TUM at the back in the blue and white. Highlighting here, Jolene, the difference of lines and the corner exit and entry speeds.
Yeah, this is the top 3, and they're really closely matched through the first sector. TUM a little bit on the back foot as they go towards turn 5. Those 2 top Italian teams are neck and neck. TUM slightly narrower, tighter line through turn 5 and gets a decent slingshot, but then almost goes slightly walkies on the back straight there, blends off and loses a little bit. Give and take between the top 3 on the back straight, and then we get towards a big braking zone, and this is where you sometimes see difference of who brakes when, who has the confidence to attack the brakes. And there we go, Polymove makes a little gain as we head towards the braking.
Yeah, Polymove much braver on the brakes. 3/10 in Polymove's favour in the first sector. Team TUM lagging behind, as you can see. Now, this is where Unimore starts to peel back a little bit on the rundown through 8 to the left-hander. Reprofiled left-hander of turn 9 a couple of years ago. This is where Unimore makes up quite a lot of time, but then once again, it seems it's in the braking zone. Polymove has the initial advantage, but Unimore have a brilliant exit, and then they're in front.
And when you see them in context with TUM as well, 3rd place, not miles away in terms of lap time, you see how close the top 2 are. They are neck and neck the whole way through, giving a little bit of margin to the apex of the right-hander there. TUM actually slightly closer to the apex, which should theoretically be the quicker line. But then it's about how much confidence you have to carry speed through the apex and not spin the car.
It's marginal gains at this point. Unimore seem like they have a great mid-corner, but Polymove with the better exits and the better overall lap time as Polymove ahead of Unimore and ahead of Tom Amanda.
Well, Harry, I know you have a great view of the start-finish side at Yas Marina. I just can't stop looking at all the fans that are here taking in this as well. So the excitement and anticipation is high over here, but I can't even imagine what's going on in the pits right now and our teams. Alex Brundle, what are you seeing?
I'm seeing a lot of excitement and anticipation. The first time 4 AI-controlled race cars will ever race each other. The fourth of those, the constructor team, have had a few localization issues through the weekend, missing a little bit of pace, around 20 seconds to the leading 3 cars. But it's all to play for. No one knows down here what's going to happen. To be absolutely clear, this is not a dry run. There has not been a dry run of running these race cars side by side down towards turn 1. They've done the laps, they've done the time trials, they've done everything else to go with it. But beyond the attack and defend challenge, they really haven't raced these cars next to each other too much. Not doing too much running either have been Team TUM. They were the first in on a 2:01 lap, taking the early benchmark in qualifying, but after that had several PC failures, which cost them the opportunity to move further up the field later on in qualifying running. Marcus, what did you miss to be right up the front of the grid here?
A little bit more testing time maybe, but that's always. You have limited time and you have to see that you get the most out of it. So we did a lot of simulations instead. The simulations look good, but in the end, the reality is always a little bit different.
It's amazing what you've been able to achieve here in such a short period of time with these cars. Give us a feel for just how long you've had access to these vehicles before this event.
It was about 6 to 8 weeks. So we started here with the car, like getting the sensors known, see what the compute power is doing. But we had already some code ready, so we could implement the code, adapt it to the interfaces, and do the first tests.
You nervous?
A bit.
Have a great race. See you in a minute. Moving into the Italian teams, Unimore had a turbo issue early on in the weekend, cost them some running time, but were able to put in a lovely performance throughout qualifying. Alessandro and his team very happy with what they've been able to achieve. And whatever you think about what's going on here, whether it's your cup of tea or not, these 3 leading cars within 1.2 seconds, within around 10 seconds of a human time around the Yas Marina Circuit is impressive by anyone's watch. The Polymove team didn't have a time on the board until right at the end of qualifying, finally going all out, snatching the pole position here. Teams really thinking it's going to be difficult for these cars to overtake or a huge risk. The quote I had earlier on in the weekend was it's basically a 50-50 chance whether the car is able to make the overtake or not when they send it down the inside. Kojo, what are you looking at, mate?
My face kind of gives you the energy that's down here. It's serious time. This is the time. This is everything that you've been practicing for the last couple of days for us, but like they've been doing this for months now, and it's all down to this moment. It gets tense, I'm sure, when you're driving, right? But just to fathom that there's no human in the car and it's going to be running by itself, and they don't actually have any control over it once it moves.
Yeah, there's no one to get nervous, though, is there, in the car? It's only people in the pit lane who have absolutely no control of what's going on. All you can do is stop the race car when you're out there. How would you feel sending your baby out onto the racetrack to race against these other chargers?
Well, I'm not afraid to tell you, when my son went to nursery for the first day, I cried. So this must be the same experience for them because this is their baby and they put so much time and effort into it. They've even got names, these cars, you know what I mean? So I'm just really excited to be part of this. As you can hear, they're getting their stuff, the cars ready. I'm just excited to be part of this amazing, amazing groundbreaking experience.
Well, we got cars firing up in the pit lane, the procession of the lights, showing where they're at in terms of their management of the engine systems, in terms of their AI control. The vibe is building down here. There is great anticipation amongst the teams. We do not know what is going to happen. This is a groundbreaking event, and I can't wait to see them head down to turn 1, Amanda.
And Alex, we certainly do not know what we're going to see tonight, but we do know that history will be made in honor of His Excellency's vision for what this weekend would look like it is time to release those AI race cars onto the track as we go racing here in Yas Marina.
Well, here we go then. History being made this evening in Abu Dhabi under the lights of the Yas Marina Circuit. For the first time ever, multiple autonomous cars will be racing on a track at the same time. Teams of scientists, coders and developers from around the world will be incorporating cutting-edge technology into these racing cars and have been doing so with the aim of reshaping the future of mobility through extreme sports. This is not your traditional motorsport racing event. This is a science testing event. We are pushing the limits of what autonomous cars can do through the vehicle of motorsport in what is essentially a public science experiment. Now, we have 4 cars out there. The Polymove team you're seeing at the moment, the Italian team with the car called Eva. Behind them will be Team Unimore in second. That's another Italian team. Gianna there in the burnt orange and black. Third will be Team 2, the German team. Haley in the blue and white. And behind them, Team Constructor. And their name is Constructor from Germany at the back and lining up last. This is how it's going to go. So the cars should be leaving the pits one by one. The leading car will be at a slightly slower speed, around 60 kilometers an hour. Then the rest will be released at around about 100 kilometers an hour. No overtaking at this stage. This allows the cars to bunch up and follow each other around to the start finish on the main pit straight. Then we will get the formation lap under safety car conditions. We'll complete this lap behind the safety car, and when we reach turn 14 in the final sector, we'll go from safety car to full course yellow, slow them all down, bunch them up, and get ready to take the start. It will be 8 laps in total, 2 of them underneath the safety car, and we'll be guiding you through it every step of the way. My name's Harry Benjamin. Alongside me is the former Formula 1 driver, Jolien Palmer. It's happening, Jolien. Driverless cars, autonomous technology, 4 cars taking to the Abu Dhabi track.
Yep, hang on to your hats because we got no idea what's about to happen here. We know from qualifying, from everything we've seen, even the attack v defense, which went a little bit wrong for some and others managed to get a clean pass, we know that they can do this on their own. We've seen some cooperate with other cars and race, but with big pace discrepancies between them. But now we've got 3 cars that are very even on pace. Constructor, with a no-nonsense name of Constructor for the car, heading out at the back. They've been a little bit adrift. But now they're going to be all together, starting a race in a couple of laps' time. How are they going to react to having cars on track so close? It's a big unknown for us. It's a big unknown for anyone watching. It's a big unknown for the engineers. Speaking to them, they were like, I hope it'll be good. They've obviously set the code, looking at the cameras that are around, 7 cameras all around to try and get some camera lock on moving objects around them, i.e. competitors. They've got LiDAR and radar beaming out radio waves and lasers to try and detect where the objects are as well. And this is where we'll see, basically, if it works.
Well, a month and a half, 2 months ago, that is when these teams got hold of these cars. And really, they were nowhere. They couldn't even get round a few corners. Now, though, the rate of improvement is dramatic. The Polymove team, who are making their way around on the track at the moment. Praying Eva makes it through. Those from the Politecnico Milano, the Polymove autonomous racing team backing this, actually has the autonomous land speed record achieved at the Kennedy Space Center's runway, reaching a speed of 192.2 miles per hour, just over 300 kilometers per hour. Only a team of 12 to 13 people, similar with Unimore. They've got around 14 people as well. Constructor, less than 12. These are small teams, Jolien, making up what's essentially racing teams, especially when you're in Formula 1, you've got hundreds, if not thousands of people making up a team.
Yeah, look at this. I would say army of engineers, of coders in the Unimore garage. There's plenty of them. You might wonder, what are they all doing to write a bit of code to send a car out onto track? They've all got their individual bit of code. So they'll break down the car's functions into each person's responsibility. So there'll be someone looking at throttle application and tyre slip. There'll be someone else looking at how the car can evolve with different sort of grip levels. Someone else is looking at brake application. Then it all comes together to the overall center of it that gets loaded into the computer, and it hopefully results in a car operating at high level. But we've seen that there are things going wrong, and they're all checking each other's work as well. So there's accountability throughout all the teams. But that is why there's a number of teams there, because you can't overestimate how complex this code is. I'm not a coder myself, but I've seen that it's a different world. But these are some of the brightest people in this world trying to do this. This is groundbreaking stuff. It literally is. And some of the detail that they're going into, one slip, one little misbeat, and the car can do something quite lurchy.
There has never been this amount of autonomous cars on a track at the exact same time. This is history. We're currently on the formation lap under safety car conditions. They cannot get closer than 40 meters to each other. Once we get back around, we'll then complete this lap and we'll start to close up around turn 14, bunch up, ready for the race to begin. The first 2 laps will be under safety car conditions before we complete the remainder in full race mode. That is just due to safety protocols being put in place, because this is the first time this has ever happened. We've gone through the Polymove team, the Unimore team in the burnt orange and black, the second of the teams. Team of 14 people at the moment, named Gianna, that team, headed up by Alessandro Tocci. They are currently in second. This is the team, though, at the back of the pack in fourth. Just made it through. This is Team Constructor from Germany with a base in Bremen and the handily named Constructor AI, the name of the car for Team Constructor. They're a part of Constructor University and the Technology Center. Ilya Shimchik, the team principal, and they are really having a bit of an up and down time at the moment. They lost connectivity to GPS in qualifying. They were really pleased just to make it through into the top 4 in what was a competitive session. The Hungarian team hummed the lab, just couldn't quite match Team Constructor to get into this top 4. But they're also looking at how they apply this technology Constructor into the real world, looking particularly at the likes of public transportation and safety in cars for inner city mobility as well. Each team very much with its own projects in mind to apply this technology into the real world. As we start to make our way through turn 14, where the field should now begin to bunch up and we get closer to the first start of this race.
What's going to happen then? The front car slows. Constructors just off the back at the moment. Where are they? Spoke to the team earlier on. They had a stoppage, and they said it was that they lost contact with GPS for quite a long time. I said, is that a game over scenario? They were quite offended by that. They are using multiple devices and tools to get this car around, but if the GPS goes for too long, then the self-localization, the car doesn't know where it is, and they can get around it for a while with your radar, your LiDAR detecting objects, but then it needs to find out where it is. And now I want to find out where Constructor is. I'm looking out the window and I can see it. It's going to emerge into view in just a moment.
Yeah, just a little bit off the back. You'll see it out of the final corner now as we now get under safety car, and the race has begun. The first 2 laps under safety car condition, just for safety issues, so we can get this race underway. 8 laps, including these 2 underneath the safety car. So it'll just be a moment of holding on and hanging on for these first 2 laps, getting settled, trying to get a little bit more, crucially, Jolien, temperature into the tyres.
That's such a big task for all of the teams that we've had. 8 of them began, 4 of them didn't qualify for this 4-car race that we've got on our hands right now. And part of the qualifying drama was in the night session that we had this time yesterday, where even the best teams went too hard too soon, didn't have tyre temperature, simply spun out. The car wanted to go through corners at a pace level that the tyres couldn't sustain. So that's why we're a few laps under safety car to try and get the tyres into a better working window, although at this speed there's probably not going to be a huge amount for these Yokohamas that they're running.
No, running very slowly behind these safety car conditions. You can just see in the background there the blue and white Team Toom German entry. Just having a little look to the inside. The difference of lines quite noticeable, even under safety car conditions. Team Toom representing the Technical University of Munich, and finding these colder conditions a little trickier. They had an incident in attack and defend earlier on in the weekend. They are, though, looking at some computer issues that have been hampering their car in qualifying. They were pleased to make it through, though. They thought they could have been in the fight for pole position. They were looking at one point at a sub 2-minute lap time. Simon Hoffman, the team principal, really trying to egg the team on, but a computer issue meant it was third for them, with Haley in the number 33 car. But again, they are doing a lot as well outside of A2RL and using this as a platform to continue. They're gearing up for the first autonomous run up the Goodwood Hill climb for the Festival of Speed. They've already tested the LiDAR and the GPS data from there last year, and that's what this is all about. On the cars at the moment, a huge mixture of things that help power it around this circuit. As Jolene mentioned, GPS, radar, LiDAR. You've also got 7 cameras on this car to help it detect its surroundings, including the camera right on the top, the roll hoop. That is actually a VR camera, and if you download the A2RL app and you have the compatible VR glasses, you can use them and actually find yourself in, well, where the seat would be, where the cockpit would be in these Super Formula cars, and find yourself driving around this track. It's a fascinating bit of kit, so do make sure you download the A2RL app if you have the appropriate VR headsets as well. Again, another example of cutting-edge technology powering us forward. End of lap 1 there. No overtaking at the moment as we are under safety car conditions. We'll come across the line for lap 2 under safety car conditions. This will be the final lap under safety car before we then get 6 laps of full, hopefully, throttle racing. Making their way around this Yas Marina circuit, 5.28 kilometers, just over that, 16 corners, 9 to the left, 7 to the right. We've seen Danny Kvyat, the former Formula 1 driver, already making his way around in the Super Formula car. That one showcasing how driver versus AI can help benefit each other in the long run.
It's the first car, I thought it was building a slight gap there. The gaps are emerging between, you can see the third car, Haley, from the German team Toom, but I think they're just ebbing and flowing at the moment under the safety car conditions. You can see suddenly it goes quite big, the gap, but then they're able to go almost as quickly through that. Should be a relatively tight left-hander at turn 5. They're going as quickly through that as they are on the straight at the moment, so they're obviously finding some grip.
Well, of course, we see with the ghost car scenario that the code can be very different in terms of how these cars approach the mid-corners, the apexes, very different lines, and that can even affect the speed and the pace under the safety car as well. They are all limited to around about 50 kilometers an hour, but of course they were quite spaced out to begin with. Constructor AI at the back has now caught up to the rest of the field. So what happens now is on this second lap of the safety car, it will become a full course yellow at turn 14 once again. We're currently making our way through turn 6 and 7 at the end of the chicane, at the end of that long 1.14 kilometer back straight. So we'll get to turn 14, bearing in mind there are 16 corners on this track, and then that will bunch up the cars again before they turn onto the start-finish straight, and that will effectively then signal the start of green flag racing. 6 laps to the end for the first ever Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League.
I'm really looking forward to this. We're half a lap away from seeing what they can all do together without having limitations, so safety car limitation or outlap limitation. Then it's up to the teams to work out how quickly they want to go, how much they want to risk. Can the car and the code on the computer work out how much grip they're going to have to determine when they brake, when they accelerate? There is a brake pedal in that car, there is a throttle. It's controlled by hydraulic actuators, as is the steering column. It's a very normal car with no driver and instead a computer on top of a stack of devices to try and work out for the car itself what on earth to do. And now we're coming through just a few corners away from the quite an amazing moment.
Yeah, approaching that turn 14 shortly, so we're expecting it to change from a safety car to a full course yellow to allow the field to bunch up, and then effectively when they come round to start lap 3, that will be 6 laps to the end of this race. The leading car in the yellow and black livery, Polymove. Eva, the name of the car, in second. In the orange and black, you can see there, that's Gianna for Unimore. In third, Team Tum, the German. Haley, the name of the car. And fourth, at the back, will be Constructor AI. 4 Team Constructor. It's Italians versus Germans as they make their way around the final corner and will cross the line for lap 3 and come to a bit of a halt. Green flag racing should be underway as they make their way around now, but they've come to a little bit of a slow. Team Tom has come to a stop just on the exit of the final corner. Meanwhile, Gianna's close right back to Eva.
I tell you, this is not breakneck speed at the moment.
No.
The cars are now wondering what on earth to do about each other. So Tum, Haley, looked like it was completely stationary. It still is, and it didn't. You could see the front wheels turning and didn't really know exactly what it wanted to do, and that's because the front pack stopped. It detected it, but now the team need to work out if they can get it going again, and I think they have. And out front, it's
Eva and Gianna, Polymove and Unimore. Just having a look outside the commentary box, it is Team Tum, which does seem to be pointing a bit more in a straight line now, but also Constructor AI has stopped right on the apex as well. I wonder if there's been a little bit of an issue as to when it became a safety car to full course yellow to then green flag. If that has somehow confused a little bit of the code, and coming to a little bit of a halt there is the Unimore car, Gianna, but keeps moving, and there's a little bit of movement at the back, but Team Tum peeling off to the left-hand side does get going again now, so they've managed to reboot that car. The coders in the team can have access to the car during the race. If they want to hit the reboot button, they can do so. And I think that has brought out the safety car to try and bunch everybody back up again. I think we'll bunch back up under the safety car, and I am making an assumption here. We'll try and bunch them up and see if we can get this going again the next lap around. But we'll have to play it by ear again to underline that this is a science experiment. This is a research and development exercise. This has never been done before. 4 cars, completely autonomous, at speed, on the same track, making their way around in a race-style simulation. Has not been done before. This is the first. There's always going to be teething issues, but all 4 cars are now running on the track. There is a bit of a gap now, though, between the top 2 and 3rd and 4th due to the issues for Haley and Constructor AI. Let's see, though, if they can catch up to the top 2 under these safety car conditions.
What's the story of the hare and the tortoise? Maybe one bolts off early, and the 2 at the back, with a cool 55 seconds to catch up, can come back into this fight, because the hares aren't exactly scampering away. So as soon as they've gone from safety car conditions to autonomous pure control from the pre-program, that's obviously what's bamboozled all of them. And is that transfer from going at set speed underneath the sort of virtual safety car to then going at what should be racing speed. Now, we know that these cars can go at quite a speed. They're sort of 14 seconds off Daniel Kvyat's outright human pace. They're 4 seconds off what the test car has done, which is the autonomous lap record. So they can do it, but they've just been a little bit bamboozled and following each other. And now actually this car, the Haley, the Tum car, looks like it's able to find a little bit more pace, and it's going to just slowly relearn how to go around this track with any level of pace. Meanwhile, Eva serenely out front.
Should also mention that there is a $2.25 million prize pot up for grabs to be shared amongst the teams. But they've got to get to the end of this race before they can have a look into that. So we're coming around for another lap here. There's the Unimore team, Gianna, where 1 month ago they were nowhere. Now those computer scientists, robotics, PhD students from the University of Modena and Reggio Emiliana backing that team, headed up by the team principal, Alessandro Toschi, watching on, hoping and praying that they'll be able to get some green flag racing and maybe even try and make a little bit of an overtake on their Italian rivals, Polymove. This is Team TUM, who had the issue coming into that final corner on the initial getaway. We still now under safety car conditions. The blue and white Technical University of Munich back team trying to close back up. So safety car then is in, and we've got the green flag back underway. So it's Polymove who leads into turn one. This is full autonomous racing now. Gianna and Unimore in second. It's the two Italians in first and second, and after the slight issues on the initial green flag, that means it's Haley and Constructor AI at the moment playing for third and fourth.
And that is why I think when we cut just then to the TUM garage where the Haley is their car in third, there was a lot of shaking of heads because they were getting back into the fray under safety car conditions. But with the safety car now being brought away, we're back to racing speeds, and these two are very much in a two-horse race.
Yeah, this is the Unimore car, the team made up of an incredible amount of brain power powering this car, chasing down their Italian rivals. This Super Formula car can't get up to 300 kilometers an hour, but there's a spin, there's a screech. It's Polymove, it's Eva round into the chicane, and that causes a bit of trouble for Gianna in the Unimore. Comes to a halt, but the radar, the GPS, the LiDAR on the cameras, noting where Eva was on the track, finding the safe way around, picks up the pace again, but into the braking zone. We'll get another look at it. The Polymove car locking the brakes, round it went. That can bring Haley and Constructor AI back into the fray, full course yellow.
Yeah, so I thought that the leading car, Eva, committed quite hard as soon as it was back to green flag conditions into the first corner, but it was obviously too much. They've been trundling around at low speed, and they have got it going, but they've got to do a full 180 to get back in the right direction, which is going to be a feat all on itself now to work out where the track goes, but then which way is the right way. Looks like they're sorting it out.
The Politecnico Milano team watching on. Yeah, you can't exactly do a quick burnout 360 in these cars. They try and getting out of the way. Let's have a look, Jolene, on board and see what happened to the Polymove team.
Wall was getting closer as they were turning around, so I think this is going to be what we saw in qualifying for them. Yeah, just locking the brakes, and looked like the rear brakes just locking with no rear grip, and then whew, Unimore locked up as well, trying to I don't know, avoid or just have their own incident because the temperatures are low and they've just put too much brake pressure into the coach. They've come in, big stop. That was one of the challenges around this circuit, and pummeled the brake pedal with those hydraulic actuators, and round it has gone. Here we go on board with the second place car. Smoke screen, but the AI shouldn't be too confused about that. Goes round, is thinking, where's the race leader? You're the race leader.
And now he is, makes his way through. So we've also got a Constructor car in the background that has stopped there. It looks like Constructor has a red light at the top, which means that the AI has lost control. Polymove, which we saw in the foreground there, still had the full purple light. That means AI is still in control. So an issue there perhaps for Constructor. And Unimore, who has now also come to a halt further back. So there's some issues going on at the moment. Team TUM, who were the initial stoppers, now the only ones making their way around on the track. So something's happened to Unimore as well, having gotten through.
I don't think it wants to overtake. So this is, it obviously has, as the Polymove car had a spin, but it was already past it really with that lockup before it realized that we saw it stop and then went again. And now Constructor has come to a stop, and the race leader has come around to lap it. Is still half a lap ahead of this Haley TUM car in second place, and it doesn't want to go past Constructor and put a lap on it.
Running around now under full course yellow, 50 kilometers an hour, the maximum speed you could do. And, well, this has worked out a little bit for Team Tum. And Haley, who was languishing towards the back, has now managed to get up into second. You can see there the stricken cars at the moment down that straight. It's Eva for Polymove, who had the initial spin there. And now with the blinking light on the roll hoop suggests that that is currently in transition.
That is engine off. So Polymove is not going to go again. And that's the right thing to do, because if it does, it's clearly going to drive straight into the barriers. There's no space. A human would do a spin turn there, but that is not something that is programmed into this. So it's really tricky to know what they can do. And this is the Polymove team thinking, it's a shame they were winning. They've been pretty hit and miss so far. Just did one qualifying lap in 3 sessions, and it was good enough to take pole position. But that was the risk of programming it aggressively. And they've had another moment, and that's going to be them surely out. I don't think they'll be able to get that going again. Tum snailing their way around to the back of the field. And I wonder if the reason that Gianna, the race leader, has not gone past Constructor AI is because it's a full course yellow and it's programmed not to overtake in these conditions. Again, a human in this situation would realise that car's stopped and stationary and you go round, but maybe that has not been put into the code, and so they're a little bit confused at the situation. So what is this car going to do? Because they're coming up to it right now.
Well, we'll see what Haley does in the Team Tum car. But actually say this already a huge learning event for the coders, for the teams to implement in the next stage. We're hoping this might turn into an annual event and increase around the world as well, with learnings happening with every inch of ground they cover. It's a real shame, though, for the Polymove team, who have seemed fast from the get-go. They have some amazing programs as well that they're, the Politecnico Milano University team are putting in place into the real world. Their Mille Miglia autonomous drive program, doing the iconic journey in an autonomous car. It's iconic, it has all the road types as well on it. Let's see what happens, though.
So this car has been working. This is as it should be. We're under full course yellow, so it's limited to 40 kph. And this is, it looks slow, but it's because it's designed to be slow in these conditions. What's it going to do with 2 cars now stationary ahead, 1 sideways further ahead? Are we slowing?
It sees the cars up in front of it. It's noticed them. It knows they're there with the GPS, the radar, the LiDAR, the cameras. But because we're on full course yellow, as you say, Jolien, it doesn't want to overtake, because that's the code it knows. That's what it's been programmed for.
It's impressive technology. Not ideal for a race, but it's impressive technology that we've managed to see 4 cars run together. Now 4 cars stop on the same straight. Very, very polite with each other, giving enough space, not getting too close. The technology is working. It can obviously see what's around with all those aforementioned sensors. There's plenty on board these cars for it to realise when it should advance and when it shouldn't. There's a car ahead, so it has recognised that quite clearly, as has the car in front of that. Is that an engine?
We heard something. We're going to get another look at the incident that kick-started all this. The race leader, Eva, and Polymove coming into the braking zone at the end of the long straight and losing it under braking, and then that allowed Gianna and Unimore to take the lead, but they came back around. Full course yellow stopped the cars behind them, and we now come to a bit of a halt.
Interesting, the rears went for, well, in fact, it was pretty much all 4 in unison for this car. The car behind was a little bit more emphasis on the front brakes, which at least kept it pointing in the right direction when it came in all smoked up.
So we've got cars back going again. We are hearing that the cars will make their way back to the pits. Now, the run of order was that if a car ends up stranded on the track in a dangerous area, the remaining cars are to come to the pits. We could see if we can get then the Polymove car back up and running to do a restart. We'll re-establish the order, and the restart will happen. We'll go to the start line, we'll do the formation lap, only 1, and then we'll try and complete the remaining laps. But lap 5 of 8, I wonder how much we'll get in. But the remaining cars then will make their way back to the pits, and we'll reassess where we are once we're able to get them into the pits and then see where the Polymove team lie.
In the days of old, 75% race distance was considered a race. We are not quite there.
Half
5.5, yeah. Points all round. Well, at least these 4 got into the race, and that's the main thing. They've managed to drive around together. They've showcased some ability. We've seen some limitation as well. But there's some smiles going on in the garage. They've got the cars back in one piece. They've not managed to, or they've not ditched any of them into the barriers. They've recognised danger, and now they can bring it back.
Yeah, Team TUM with some smiles there. They've already presented a lot of the data they've taken from their autonomous adventures so far at technology shows in Germany, and how that research can be applied to the real world. They have a bit of an open source approach, and that's being used as a model for developing better road traffic systems. That's what Team TUM in Germany are aiming to go towards. They've had a few computer issues in the build-up to this, but at the moment, after a bit of an issue in their start, they are now benefiting from what's happened to Polymove and Eva, but they will make their way to the right-hand side into the support pits. Constructor AI, the other German team, has already made their way back to the pits. Unimore, the burnt orange and black liveried Super Formula A2RL car representing Italy, has also made its way back into the pits, or is currently in the process of doing that. That is Gianna, effectively the race leader, with a lot of experience. That team from the University of Modena and Reggio Emiliana have experienced over 3 years of autonomous technology, constantly evolving, not all in Formula cars. Have been working a lot with small-scale cars to try and help the development here. Just a team of 14 people in that garage. With Polymove, the team that's currently being recovered, 12 to 13 people to Constructor at the back at the moment. The other German team making their way back to the pits. So for the time being, cars making their way back to the pits, Polymove being recovered. So it seems like a good time to head down to Amanda Busick.
Well, Harry, I've been standing next to the team principal from Code 19, Lauren Watzer, this entire race, and he has been giggling like a 5-year-old at the excitement of what this has been. And you said you've been really impressed with what you've seen so far. What about it has sparked your interest of impressed?
Well, so many firsts for autonomous racing today. The AI versus human, incredible. And now a world record of autonomous racing vehicles on the track at the same time. It's just an amazing day for the sport.
Well, Lawrence, we were talking with the Polymove and then Unimore taking the lead. You were really happy for that team. Talk about a little bit of the history in this moment right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just epic seeing 4 cars on the track, and so sad for Polymove to spin like that, but just a really great, safe pass from Unimore, and they're in the pole position now.
I do want to talk about your weekend, not competing in this race, but you guys had a very strong showing in the attack and defend. You also have the Boys and Girls Club from Detroit here for the STEM competition that happened. Oh, I think I hear them cheering. The weekend on a whole, we talk about this is history making. What will it be for your operation?
Well, first of all, let me just say, what up, Detroit? But this is really just an amazing start to the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League. We're so excited for the future of this sport, and couldn't be more proud to be part of the field here. You know, 8 amazing teams have been here working there as hard as they can to, to drive for the future, and it's just, it's really historic.
And with your expertise, we did take a look at the replay of that Polymove spin. What would have caused that?
Well, it's hard to say exactly until you take a look at the data in the car. These race cars are collecting gigabytes of data every second as they're going around the track. So I'm sure the Polymove race engineers are going to be analyzing all of that, taking a deep dive into all the vehicle dynamics, all the perception data to really understand what it was, and then they'll make adjustments, and next time when they're on the track, they'll be even faster.
Thank you, Lawrence. And Harry, just to confirm, Lawrence has been standing right here with his cell phone watching this entire race. So they may be competitors on track, but they are supporters through and through of this inaugural race weekend here in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. Brilliant to have Lawrence with you. Maverick the Code 19 Racing name, that team from America. Big fans of autonomous racing since, well, back in 2020. They run a brilliant boys and girls STEM club in Detroit, which they were referring to there, working on a mini version of this AI car for young engineers. So, you know, it's not just what we're seeing right now, it's development for the younger generations as well, to have a wider footprint. We are, Jolie Palmer, going to get a restart to this race.
We are. They're pushing the constructor car down then to get into the end of the pit lane. They did all right, didn't they, Code 19? There are 4 teams that exited after qualifying, but they were younger teams. They were not in terms of the human age, but in terms of their experience in this autonomous racing. And they had various degrees of success. Hyundai Lab, Hungarian team, only just missed out on being in this final in qualifying earlier on. They were a second and a half away from pipping constructor and making it into the top 4. And they'll be a little bit disappointed with that, but they were very happy with their own progress. And it's the same for Code 19, for our other teams as well that haven't made it through, not able to take part in this final, which is going to see another few laps.
Yeah, we will get another few laps. We'll get a formation lap under safety car, but unlike the initial start, it should just be 1 lap under the safety car before it then turns to full course yellow in turn 14. They bunch back up, and then we'll hopefully get a few racing laps to finish off what has been a remarkable evening under the lights. But we can take a look back at what's happened so far this evening. Well, this was the initial beginning of the race, and it was Polymove in the yellow and black car from Italy. Eva, the name of the car, who had the best view in the house, being chased down by the Italian compatriots, Unimore. But Jolien, this is where it all went wrong.
Just too late on the brakes, probably too hard on the brakes, really. And the second car there, the Unimore car, did a very similar thing, but managed to just be underneath the limit. The Polymove car, over the limit, Eva, and sent into a spin. And the problem with this is that it's then pointing in the wrong direction. And it was just too hard to turn it around. That's not something that's on the radar at the moment to reboot. There's so much for the teams to learn what to do. Human in the car, boot that and get it going again. But the capacity for everyone learning so much about just getting these cars around a track on their own, finding time all the way, there's not been yet the capacity to think about what happens if certain scenarios come. One is pointing dead backwards with the wall on either side.
Well, we'll just getting things back underway here. There will be a restart to this race, so we will get the last few laps of this 8-lap race underway with 4 fully autonomous cars making their way around this Yas Marina Circuit here in Abu Dhabi under the lights. Just over 5.2 kilometers this track, 16 corners, 9 to the left, 7 to the right, and cars packed full of coding to make their way as efficiently as they can at this stage with the technology around. And smiles from the A2RL mechanics there. These cars, mechanically wise, completely identical. The teams have no input with the mechanical setup or anything like that, do they, Joe? It is purely all about the code and the computer.
That's how we want it to be. These guys have been really busy this week as well, with various issues that have gone on for the weeks in the testing, where the teams, even the best teams, have been having their own moments, some of them quite dramatic, and finding the barriers. They've been putting the cars back together as and when needed, and now we're into a position as the Polymove car is on the back of the flatbed. Is that now
back in the pit lane?
Yeah, there we go. So we're not going to be too far away, hopefully, from getting this going. But yeah, these mechanics have been really working hard with the teams, but I like the fact that they're not allowed to change the setup. So it's a locked setup. Every single element is controlled. You don't get that in any other series, really. It's all about getting the most out of the driver, and then getting them in tune with the setup. But with no driver to give the feedback, you want to just keep a stable platform on the setup. There's so many elements to this car that you could tune, and that'll be somewhere for the future to open that up for the teams as well, to work in harmony with the code. Things like your suspension settings. The roll stiffness is very stiff for these cars. It's set up to try and get the temperature in, so you increase the roll stiffness, you generate more tire temp through your mechanical stiffness. But it does mean the cars are a little bit more lively, and things like that big rear lock, if you could soften off the bars, you might have a chance of getting a bit more compliance into the car. So that is an area for future development. But as it is, it's all down to the code on the computer underneath the cover in the cockpit there. That is what is controlling this. And I quite like it that way. It's just a pure engineering coding feat.
Yeah, but developing for the future is exactly what we're doing here, not just within these cars, but there's plans for off-road buggies, for the Drone Champions League to launch next year. Also moving to water-based and boat AI technology in what will be a global reach for autonomous technology when it comes to being pushed to the extreme through extreme sports, hoping to be in countries around the globe. This really is stage one right here in Abu Dhabi, and this isn't a way of replacing the driver. We're not trying to replace a racing series of Formula One and get rid of the drivers. That is not what we're doing here. We're trying to find how autonomy and the technology can help humanity and help us in our everyday lives.
It's different, isn't it? It's just different, and we can see that already from today. This is the start of it, and it's very different. It's a completely different area of motorsport. This is not going to compete with human-controlled motorsport series. It's not the design of it. You're obviously missing various human elements that are the key attractors to people to the likes of Formula One and other motorsports. But this is pioneering technology that can be used to road technologies in the future. That's clearly a big aim to try and help advancing not only road technology, but other autonomous technologies and areas where automation can come in. And it's pioneering, it's leading the way.
Well, having a little look at the stack there, some of the engineers, that's where usually you'd find the driver. That is the computer stack instead. But while we're waiting to gear up for the restart of this race, let's head down to Alex Brundle.
Yeah, the Polymove just being recovered back to the pit lane here. The emergency brake pulled on that car, it seems. You can see flat spots both front and rear. A very quick tyre change going on here, which would suggest that car is going to be taking part then in the second phase of this race, simultaneously to what appears to be a very quick recovery. If you just spin us round there, Leaky, we can see that the cars are now getting prepared then to fire up again for the start of the second phase of the race. Of course, the Unimore car now taking the lead. And as a result of this stoppage, we saw big gaps, didn't we, in the field? Constructor and Toom falling back away from the pace at the start of the race when we crossed over from safety car speed, virtual safety car speed, then to full racing speed. It would appear those gaps then will be deleted again. So we'll start from status quo as we head then into the second phase of the race. But really, I think the story of all of that, the impressive story of all of that, was the evasive action from the Unimore car, which is exactly what this kind of racing at this stage is all about. Seeing the car up the road and taking evasive action plays so much in to the discussions that we've been having with all of the teams, all of the engineers down here, about applications to road safety. When a car spins in front of you, your car is able to acknowledge that spin and then take evasive action. Early days in terms of the pace, certainly, and perhaps not as flat out there as we will see surely in later races, later years of this project. But you know, baby steps, and it's impressive stuff to see out there with certainly that evasive action, a key moment of the race for me. Buzzy down here in the pit lane. Back to you guys.
Cheers, Alex. Great insight, as always, as it looks like that quick tyre change has taken place now for the Polymove team. So it will be a bit of a rejig of the order as well. Unimore look like they will now be effectively the leaders on pole position. Team Tum, Haley, the German team, in second. Constructor, third. And then Polymove at the back of the field, having started on pole. We'll just see if they do a little bit of rearranging and where they take the timing line back from in terms of restarting this order. But there you can see there a real nice view of that computer stack and all of the technology that goes inside it, made up of things like the computer system, as well as several other elements. The CBA, that's the corner brake actuator, that prioritizes safety, integrates fallback strategies to handle emergency situations, which might well have been the impetus for that almost emergency brake that Alex was talking about with the Polymove car, the corner brake actuator being the legs of the car. Then you have the hands of the car, the pinion type steering actuator. That ensures the accurate steering, essentially, the management of it. Precise control, not overdriving it, not making too many rash moves on that steering wheel, making sure you keep within the speed restrictions of the car. And then you have the brain, the BSU system, that's the brain. Open control unit used to easily manage all the electronics and the systems. That is the battleground here. This is not your traditional motorsport event. It is the computer. It is the coding. That is our battleground. The race against code. Code can be written incorrectly, leading to mistakes. We've seen that in qualifying earlier on. I think it was the Kinetis team, the UAE and Singapore collaboration, Sparks, who just, there was a little blip in the code and it turned in too early, coming into the triple final right-hander of turn 12 and found the wall. So that can happen. But more information is, looks like Polymove is getting a little bit of a reboot from the team. Let's head back down to Alex.
Certainly a reboot for Polymove. I've just noticed down here, interesting, these cars have been out on track. We've been talking so much about temperature management of all the cars in terms of keeping the tyres hot, keeping the computers cool. Have a listen into this. Look, this is how hard the electronics are working. Flat out in there, the fans extracting energy and temperature from those computers, and it's almost constant, the amount of temperature they're building in there. A real challenge. We've been having teams tell us that alternators are under more pressure than anywhere else in motorsport, powering all the kit they've got under the hood here, and just the whole, I don't know if you get a sense of it on the microphone, the grid here is just humming with cooling fans. That's how much energy these cars creating underneath that sensor stack.
Beautiful work down there in the pit lane. Lovely stuff. It is. There's a hum when these cars come back in because there's just so much going on. The brain power of the computers that is really getting any level of performance, anything at all happening for these cars.
Yeah, work continuing on at the back of the pack for the Polymove team, the ones with the issues. I mentioned some of the work they're doing as well when they're pushing the limit of this technology, which we've seen out on track. They have the Mille Miglia autonomous drive program, which is a perfect test ground. They have, well, told me earlier on, because of the famous Mille Miglia iconic track. Usually you'd see your typical, your petrol car making that way. It has so many different road types, so they are using autonomous technology to make their way around that. So that's just one of the projects that they've got going on. Still work being done, though, to get this race restarted. It will be restarted. We will get 4 autonomous cars back out on track. In the meantime, though, let's check in with Amanda and Kojo.
And Coach, as you've made your way back over to this side of the racetrack on these pits, you were over in the support pits for the start of the race. What were the teams like at that moment?
They were kind of focused. They were really kind of making sure that all their practice, all the changes, all the coding, it was aligned. They were ready to go. Everybody had their phones out, ready for the first race, you know? Yeah. And as we was coming back to this side, we just heard the bang. And then obviously it's live, it's an experiment, and I think this is all good. There's no kind of negative to kind of look at this moment. It's about learning as much as we can about what they're trying to do here.
And when we look at the day at hand, we started from the track this morning to right now. I know you hung out in the fan zone. Yeah. What was the highlight there?
Everything. The food, there was food, there was a go-kart in, there was the STEM racing track, there was entertainment, there was music, and it was a fun place to be, and that's why I feel like the crowd has been amazing today, because they were in the right zone and the right frame of mind before the actual race.
How will you personally remember this race?
As groundbreaking, like how, you know, you live for moments like this where you could be at the forefront of anything innovative, and just a pleasure to be here with all you guys, really.
It's been a pleasure, Kojo. Guys?
Thanks, Amanda. Cheers, Kojo. Yeah, there's so much going on as well in the fan zone around this track, and a lot going on the track, and we will get this restarted, hopefully, in the next few moments. And we can just see here as well, a lovely little graphic. Well done to the graphics department back in the production office. You can see the temperatures between the front tyres and brakes and the rear tyres and brakes. Julian, the big issue that the teams have encountered under the lights is the lack of temperature.
Yeah, they want to get those tyres up towards 100 degrees of temperature, and at the moment they're
is that the
30s.
rough temperature? What is it in a Formula 1 car that you need?
I mean, a Formula 1 car that's changing so much. You start a lap at 70 degrees and you finish a lap at 120. So managing temperature is such a crucial thing in Formula 1, in all of motorsport. The brakes there in the 60s, they're going to want to go into the multiple hundreds on the brakes to be performing at their peak operating temperatures. They're really cold. And again, you send out a human in the car and they'll be doing things to really work. You see weaving all the time in any level of motorsport. Daniel Kvyat was doing the same when he was in the car earlier on. Weaving, braking, putting in all sorts of erratic controls to try and just generate artificially the temperatures before you then blitz it into a flying lap or in a race situation. Erratic controls is not really what these guys are trying to achieve with this. They're trying to just build up some consistency little bit by little bit, and that is why they're not able to find the ideal brake temperature, which is miles away, and the tyre temperature, which is also a little bit down. And that, as a knock-on effect, means that they're struggling to keep it in a straight line when they're starting to lean on. In the heat of the day, it's a little bit easier for them, but as the track's cooling, and it's still cooling out there, it becomes a little bit harder. Maybe they're just dialing in here now on the Polymove car, just taking out a little bit of that risk.
Yeah, last few bits of work going on with the Polymove team. The Deputy Team Principal, Rodrigo Seniofieni.
Couple of updated files. Brake softer into the hairpin. They've got to update it, Harry. Otherwise, it's going to spin again.
It's going to happen again.
It's repetition.
Exactly.
This is AI. If you're told to do that, it will go out and do it again. So, you have to put in a different input if you want to have a different result. So, they're out there plumbing away on a little bit of code, updated, and obviously one aspect of that went wrong on the last race. So they've got to update that on the fly here, dive into it really quickly, analyse what went wrong, and a bit of pressure now to turn this around.
Well, it's interesting. One of the other projects that Polymove is working on is this project called Ascari, which is AI tech used in high-performance cars. So essentially, you get a really plush Ferrari or something incredibly powerful around a racetrack, and perhaps you're not getting the most out of it. You're not getting the most out of the racing line. You're not braking late enough, or you're not getting on the throttle early enough. They're implementing through this Ascari project AI that can help you as a driver achieve those things and also protect you. If you brake way too late, it will come in and save you from having an incident. So that's just some of the amazing technology that they're trying to develop, something that could have helped you in your Formula 1 days.
Oh, Harry. Oh, dear, he's gone there. He's gone there.
I mean, come on. I left it
I was
a while.
before my time, wasn't
I?
Imagine, if I was coming up through the ranks now, I'd be seeing this and thinking, how can I improve? We're a few years away from that just yet. But look, autonomous vehicles in general, particularly autonomous cars, is going to be advancing at such a rate. Already on road cars, there's things like park assist. There's things like brake assist if on certain vehicles where the car lane assist, all of these things where the car can detect on vehicles on the road right now certain aspects, but there's no autonomous car that can drive purely out there and you don't have to worry about it at all. There's also various legislation that is not up with that as well, and maybe quite rightly at this stage, but it's all advancing, and that is the aim, to move towards that. The technology is going to be there. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah. Well, still some work being done on that yellow and black Polymove car, which is the car that initially had pole in the lead when we got going for this 8-lap race. Then hitting the brakes, coming into the chicane at the end of the long back straight, spinning round, and that caused a bit of havoc, and we had to stop the race and get all the cars back to the pits and restart, rejig the order. We're now just currently waiting for Polymove to make its final fixes, a slight change to the code perhaps for them. We're hearing the engines being fired up. That's a good sign. The men with the laptop have gone away from the Polymove car, so one can only hope that we are just moments away from getting this race back underway around this Yas Marina circuit.
The grumble of a 4-cylinder engine. We can hear it again. 2 litres, 550 horsepower in the back of these things. They're quick, and they're going to be ready to go hopefully soon.
We're going soon. Let's head to Alex.
Yeah, down here on the grid for the second part of the race. It's always interesting this. You can see, you may have been seeing throughout the weekend or throughout the race event so far, this light on the top of the roll hoop here. It's a progression of lights to show the team exactly what's going on with the car. Green light means ready, but the car is safe to approach. But as we head down the pit lane, have a little bit of a look at the constructor car, you can see this purple light on the top of the roll hoop here. That means that the AI, when it's flashing, is starting to take control. When that light then goes solid, it means the AI has taken complete control. And indeed, when they lose that purple light on the top of the cars, it means the AI has lost control. So a really interesting indication for the teams and a really a safety feature on these cars. We've been instructed very, very strongly never to stand in front of a car when that purple light is on. It's entirely under AI control. It's going to take off down the racetrack like a shot. So yeah, it's an interesting safety feature on top of the cars. Interestingly here, several of the cars have started the engine. Polymove's still waiting with the jump jacks underneath the car and with the batteries plugged in, but we'll be expecting them to get fired up and potentially rejoin the action in a few moments' time as the Unimore car makes his way out onto the racetrack once more, swiftly followed by Tom and constructor. So we're back underway, guys.
Yeah, cheers, Alex. So first 3 cars making their way out onto the track. It's Unimore who will head the field, then Tom, then constructor, and then hopefully Polymove will get out of the pits. The final car still up on its jacks, as you can see there. The Italian team, thumbs up though from the mechanic. That's good news. The car named Eva, who had pole and the initial lead of this race, and hopefully we'll try and catch back up. We completed 5 laps. We'll get a couple more to get to 8. Under the lights, tyre temperature is going to be an issue. They're now rolling that car. I wonder, is this actually the end for Polymove, being rolled back to the garage and not heading out on the track?
Looks like it. Looks like that's it. So I think they've obviously got still a bug somewhere in the code, and they're not happy to release it because mechanically that car was sound. It had a lockup. They changed the tyres. The brakes, I'm sure, will be okay on that as well. It crucially didn't hit a wall, which was an impressive enough feat in itself because it was pointing that way, trying to get itself turned around. But I would have thought that this is a code issue where they're not happy to send that car back out, having just spun. They've not found the bug or the update, so we've got 3 in it.
A real shame then, no Polymove. The team from Italy with Eva as the car, having to end their race early though. Let's hope then we can get the last few laps of this race underway. We're currently under full course yellow. We'll, I believe, do 1 lap under safety car conditions before the field then gets round that lap and bunches up. But actually, we've just seen a change. We've now reduced it to 7 laps. So let's see what happens here. It's Unimore who leads the way in front of Tum, then Constructor. It's Italy versus Germany behind in this testing experiment, and we're going to go straight for it. Green flag racing straight away, and we are back underway for the first ever Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League, and it's Gianna, Unimore in Italy, who lead the way from Team Tum behind, coming into the left-hander of turn 1, both making it safely through. Bit of a slower start for Constructor. They don't have the outright pace compared to the top 2, just hoping they can get to the end. No Polymove after an incident early on, couldn't make the restart of this race, an issue with the code, but coming now into the left-hander, making their way onto the back straight. Let's see, closing up under braking, and it's a move down the inside for Team Tum. to take the lead. What's happened to Unimore? Has it come to a halt on the outside of the corner? Constructor goes through. The GPS, the radar and the LiDAR slows the car down to acknowledge there's an obstacle there, but Constructor is able to keep going. But heartbreak for Unimore, who had the lead of this race on the restart. But what a move as well for Team TUM, making hay while the sun shines.
Well, the lead car, Gianna, wasn't even stationary when Haley, the TUM car, came through. Now it leads, and this is it. This was the car that lost so much time. Do you remember? I gave you the old story of the hare and the tortoise, Harry. Here we go. What happens? The tortoise wins. TUM are leading.
Well, hang on. We've still got a little way to go yet. But at the moment, the top two cars, well, it's Team TUM and Constructor AI, who have been at best fourth in terms of outright pace, currently in second. They're about 20 seconds behind the leader. We'll see if Unimore can get going with Gianna. There's no poly move. Eva is out of this race. But Team TUM, who was so gutted in qualifying earlier on today, they were looking on course for a sub 2-minute lap time around this track, which is saying something sensational. They had an issue with their computer. They couldn't get going, but there is the stricken Unimore car on the inside of the hairpin.
And I think it's lost AI control. The purple light on top of the roll hoop was no longer illuminated. Now, we're hearing that Eva lost internet connectivity, and that's why when it was trying to get the car was being recovered, they had to drop out. They've lost connectivity, and they couldn't get it working again, functioning. I wonder if there's been a connectivity, just a simple connectivity issue for the Unimore car, and that is why it's just come to an abrupt stop.
History made as we cross the line. The first ever Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League. And it is won by Team TUM of Germany, who take the win ahead of Constructor AI with troubles for their Italian counterparts. Unimore and Polymove not able to make the finish. After 6 laps with a restart in the middle, a completely autonomous racing car has made an overtake and raced around this Yas Marina circuit, powered by nothing but technology and code. And there is the team that did it. The Technical University of Munich celebrating with team principal Simon Hoffmann heading up the team, smiles all round. They had to wait a while, but in the end, after the heartbreak of qualifying, they just made it through into the top 4 for the race. And in the end, yes, there were reliability and technical issues for Gianna and Eva, but Haley, with that fabulous move on the inside at turn 5, never looked back, wins the first ever Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League. Celebrations from the team, and that's Constructor. They'll be so pleased with that because they were not on the pace of the top 3. And where do they come? Second, and get a share of the $2.25 million prize pot.
Yeah, it's huge. You can see what it means to these. They've been working on this for nearly 2 months, trying to just perfect every day, trying to find something a little bit more, a little bit more. The cars are now parked. The green light means the engines are off. But the job is done. 1-2 for the 2 German teams, and what an effort really from all of these teams, all of them, for getting a car out, an autonomous car out, driving around and racing. But Team TUM, with this overtake, have grabbed the win.
Yeah, this was just the beginning for autonomous racing, and this was the move being made. 2 autonomous racing cars, Team TUM on the inside, taking a tighter line, made that move just as Unimore were having some technical issues, but it had to dive a little bit later on the brakes. You can see the difference in line as well, a much wider line initially for Unimore.
Yeah, it's a power loss for Unimore, but TUM have been doing that tighter line the whole time. They've programmed it differently to be attacking the apex more. We saw it in qualifying in the Ghost Car comparison. They dive in a little bit earlier, and it was getting close to ascend regardless, but of course Unimore not exiting the corner, losing the connectivity there was the probably deciding factor. But you got to finish to take the prize.
No one has ever had 4 completely autonomous single-seater racing cars racing it out on track at full speed at the same time. That has been achieved here tonight in Abu Dhabi under the lights of the Yas Marina Circuit to kick off the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League in what we hope will be an annual event and will only expand, not only looking at racing cars, but also at off-road cars and water machines as well. This is just the beginning of what is possible for autonomous technology and how it can help develop and ease some issues that we have within our everyday human lives. We talk about safety on the roads, we talk about efficiency, we talk about accessibility, providing self-driverless cars for those that are perhaps disabled, but also the economic impact as well, trying to create new opportunities and encourage economic growth, lowering carbon emissions as well with the environment, getting a massive benefit. And this hopefully helping the public perception. We're open and honest about that, but this has been a science experiment done in full transparency. Nothing is off limits, nothing is being hidden away. We are seeing exactly the problems and how we are fixing them to find that data and to move forward with it. The ethical and social implications that come with it, of course, this could eradicate things like bias going forward in the future, but also helping do social good as well, Jolien, like healthcare and helping improve things like that, or poverty and education. It all has an impact. And although, yes, it's hard to tell that impact just from seeing 4 racing cars make their way around a track, but the impact is bigger than that.
Oh, it's a huge technology step into the unknown and a big advancement having this. This is groundbreaking stuff for automation. And yeah, lovely synopsis there, Harry. I guarantee the next time, and after this, I'm sure there will be a next time for the A2RL series. Whenever it is, I guarantee the step up will be vast because every day there's new breakthroughs coming for the teams, for the test car as well. They're finding bits the whole time. The advancement in autonomous technology is going at quite a rate.
Well, we're hoping to get a podium ceremony as well. Best lap achieved in that race, a 2:19.2. So there is a way to go. That was done by Unimore once they took the lead. When it's sort of one-shot qualifying lap, it's a little bit closer to 2 minutes. So there is still a way to go, but that just gives you a little idea of where we're at the moment.
I think that was Unimore when it came to a full stop though, didn't it? Going around the Polymove car. When Polymove spun, because I think that was the only real lap at semi-race speed.
Very good point.
In the end, it was a tricky feat to get them running round at the pace that they were running in qualifying on their own, but they didn't hit each other. They saw the obstacles, went around them, managed to, well, some of them were the obstacles, but the others carried on and, yeah, managed to not light up the timing screens, but at least display that they can read the road and get around quite nicely.
Where was the iconic move you made in Formula One that never got shown?
It was, well, what you're referring to here is my famous move in 2016 in Abu Dhabi. Best move, one of the best moves of my career. And it's on the corner that they changed. So turn 5, where the Unimore car came to a stop there. Used to be a chicane, left, right, into a left. Went around the outside of 3 cars on the first lap of 2016. One of Formula One's epic overtakes. Not witnessed on camera. Would you believe it?
Shocking.
Would you believe it?
Shocking. Well, we certainly witnessed the overtake for Team Term on Unimore under the lights. They've got 7 cameras on the car, so you can't miss it.
No, I needed that, didn't I? Didn't even have one.
Ahead of the time.
Technology's moving.
Exactly. You were too early. But that is the end of the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League. Will be a bit of a drone show, fireworks as well. We'll await for the podium too, but we'll get a bit of a light show now. As you can see, the lights dimming, and on they come. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the trophy ceremony of the A2RL Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League 2024. The trophies will be presented by His Highness Sheikh Thayab bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and His Highness will be accompanied by the Deputy Chairman of the Presidential Court for Development and Fallen Heroes Affairs, His Excellency Faisal Al Banai, and your winners of the A2RL STEM Trophy will be Harriet Watts, making their way to receive their trophy. And the winners of the inaugural A2RL Autonomous Racing League is Team TUM from Germany, the Technological Institute of Munich, Abu Dhabi. Please make some noise for your racing winners. The podium ceremony getting underway then in what is an epic feat of technology achieved, autonomous racing, with Team TUM making an excellent overtake on the inside of the left-hander of turn 5 on the Unimore team, who then ended up having their own struggles. But autonomous technology and being pushed to the very brink of it as well. Highlighting this event at the forefront, Abu Dhabi being at the forefront of autonomous technology, this being the very first fully autonomous race. Never before have we had 4 autonomous racing cars racing around at the same time on the same track. History achieved here in Abu Dhabi tonight. Lots on offer this evening that we have witnessed under the lights of Yas Marina. Of course, we had AI versus the human driver. Daniel Kvyat, the former Formula One driver, a 2-time podium finisher, versus the fully autonomous TII car, which was the basis of the code for our 8 teams that took part in the inaugural Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League, with 4 making the race, and the winner being from Germany, Team TUM, headed up by Simon Hoffmann, and a fantastic team of robotics, engineers and mechanics. A fantastic team full of engineers, mechanics and coders who are at the forefront of it, and of course get their share of that huge $2.25 million prize pot. What could they achieve with that money to develop autonomy within the wider racing world too, as it is time for the trophy ceremony that's taking place. The trophies being presented out, your winners of the A2RL STEM Trophy being taken at the moment. That's been going on in the fan zone throughout this week. Harriet Watts taking the spoils on that occasion, highlighting Abu Dhabi's commitment to STEM and finding the next generation to power us forward, using autonomy to help develop our human lives. A fantastic effort achieved. And there to receive their trophy on the main straight, on the grid of this fantastic facility, Abu Dhabi, the Yas Marina Circuit, a mainstay on the Formula One track. And of course, we've been using the basis of super Formula cars, and that is as high-paced as you can get in terms of outright speed outside of the pinnacle of motorsports in Formula One. A fantastic effort. Team TUM lining up for the photos as well. And an excellent shout out to Team Constructor from Germany, who managed to stay in it till the very end. Yes, they might not have had the pace, but to end up coming second, a fantastic feat as well. As the trophy ceremony will continue to unfold, with those only left on the grid being the participants, and shortly the Royal Highness. And there you can see the top 4 from the inaugural Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League. Teams from Germany and Italy represented. In the end, it was a shame for Polymove. The Politecnico Milano entered team, who has showcased such raw speed, started the race on pole initially, and then with technical issues, an internet issue, couldn't make it to the end of this race, couldn't make that race restart. And that led the way initially for the Unimore team, their Italian compatriots, but then they themselves with that issue, coming into the left-hander at the hairpin, turn 5, as you make their way onto the back straight. And the dignitaries and the royalty of Abu Dhabi making their way onto the main grid to begin the podium ceremony proper now. We are just about to get underway in what has been an intense evening of action here in Abu Dhabi, setting the standard. We've come so far in just a couple of months, and now we can see His Highness, and accompanied by the Deputy Chairman of the Presidential Court for Development and Fallen Heroes Affairs, His Excellency Faisal Al-Banai, congratulating the winners taking part in the A2RL STEM race that has also been going on here. The trophy going to the winners, Harriet Watt. Fantastic efforts. And a round of applause as we race to innovate. And it all begins right here in Abu Dhabi. This just the start, and what we hope will turn into an annual event. And there, His Excellency handing out the winning STEM trophies and liaising with the next generation who are going to power us forward using the data that we have learned here, developing the code and the autonomous technology. The trophy handed over to the top 3 from the A2RL STEM, and on the grids behind what they're hoping to achieve one day as well, the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League cars. But right now, currently, it's His Highness, along with the Deputy Chairman of the Presidential Court for Development and Fallen Heroes Affairs, His Excellency Faisal Al-Banai, handing out the trophies and just discussing with the top 3 from the A2RL STEM series that has been going on. And then we will hand over and congratulate our winning team. You can just see them on the left-hand side, all lined up, waiting to receive their prizes. And of course, just to reiterate, it is a $2.25 million share of the prize pots. And the grid absolutely getting packed out. The Polymove team here supporting along with Unimore. The Italian rivals in the end couldn't quite get on top of their German rivals. And a good result as well for Constructor AI, who didn't quite have the outright pace of the top 3 teams, but made it into second in the end. As more trophies continue to get handed out. And a quick photo as well with our STEM students as we look towards the future for science, technology, engineering, and mechanics. And another round of applause there to these 16 to 21-year-olds that are taking part. Abu Dhabi and the hub that is being created here to fast forward the future of technology and implement it into our everyday lives, fast forwarding it through use of extreme sports, with motorsport being one angle, but we expect to see it happen with drones, with off-road buggies, and with boats as well. and handing out those trophies was His Excellency Faisal Al Banai, and constantly talking about the intersection of science, sports and technology, and how autonomy is going to revolutionize the future of transportation. This A2RL, the test ground, and standing as a testament to growing Abu Dhabi's reputation of what is to come. Fantastic work here from all of the organisers involved as the STEM students take their trophy. And we now welcome to the blue carpet on the grid the winners of the inaugural A2RL Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League 2024. The trophies being presented by His Highness Sheikh Tayeb bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, shaking the hands, and his trophies being given out to Team TUM from Germany, representing an amazing effort from all who make up that team. There's small teams here as well. Between 10 and 15 people make up the majority of our A2RL teams. 8 taking part, 4 making it through to the race. And Team TUM initially so frustrated after that qualifying session, thought they could have got a sub 2-minute lap. Couldn't quite hang on to it with a computer issue, but then held on in the race, even after an initial glitch at the restart, when we went from full course yellow to green flag. And then holding on to making sure they stayed there till the end, as His Excellency and His Highness Sheikh Tayeb bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan and His Excellency Faisal Al Banai continue to shake the hands and make their way from the grid. But a fantastic work from everybody here. Fantastic to see the whole team coming out and supporting as well, and the other teams as well. Udemore and Polymove out here as well, and A2RL with a vision for the autonomous future, excited to explore what that is, attracting world's leading experts and institutions, and it really is a global sport. We've got teams here not only from Germany, as I've mentioned, Italy as well, but also here in the United Arab Emirates, China represented, as the trophy is handed over. Simon Hoffmann, the team principal, receives the trophy. Congratulations all round as the Yas Marina Circuit erupts with applause. The music blares. Simon Hoffmann raises the trophy up high. Your inaugural Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League winners are Team TUM. And what will this do for the future? How will it set the precedent for autonomous racing, and how that not only is reached to the absolute maximum through extreme sports, but also how we incorporate this into our everyday lives. Until next time. Time will come sooner than we might think, as we're hoping this will be an annual event and grow globally as a technological ground. This has been a public science experiment as the Royal Highnesses leave the grids and Team TUM end with a celebratory photo. We're nearly at the very end of what has been a fantastic evening of innovation and technology. Celebrations from Team TUM. Fantastic work from the Germans. And we hope to see them back again very soon, whenever that may be, for the next Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League, and how that unfolds. Hoping to see races in Japan, hoping to see races in Europe. And a lot of these teams with experience of autonomy in other series and events that have taken place. How will that help impact them going into the future? This a momentous occasion, not only for science, for sport and technology, but for Abu Dhabi as well, and proving to be an event that has gone incredibly well, and we'll be looking at seeing more of in the future. Fantastic work from everybody at Team TUM, who received their winning medals, and what a fantastic event this has been, Amanda.
I am amazed at what we just witnessed here. I will always remember where I was on April 27th, 2024, and that's right here in Abu Dhabi at the Yas Marina Circuit, where all of us and you and the fans witnessed history. Julian, I started the show with you, so I'm going to come right back to you. As a driver, watching this, seeing this, what did you respect the most out of what you saw tonight?
Well, not the driving, because it was the bit that was missing. But I mean, the level of innovation here, the complexity of what all these guys are doing to put cars on circuit, drive around, not hit each other, not hit the barriers. Okay, some of them stopped; they had issues, but mostly they got going again. It was pretty clean, and that was impressive.
Our arms and legs of the broadcast tonight, Alex Brundle up and down that pit lane. I can imagine that the emotions that you saw out of the team, not even just today, but over the last couple of days. Team TUM, what was their experience like from start to finish of this race?
You know, they're open garages all the way down in that support pit lane, and you can hear the yelps and yells going on as the various fortunes of the teams play out. There's really a soundtrack of the pit lane, if you like, to go with it. It means so much to these teams in terms of bragging rights, but also in terms of, you know, the sort of the huge prize pot and the rewards available for victory in this one. And of course, fortunes turned, although they were kind of moments where cars stopped. Fortunes turned so quickly in that event. So yeah, Team TUM obviously delighted with that, but also, you know, you can sense the loss when these teams not only lose out on the opportunity to win the race, but also see their coding fail, and the frustration that they feel when they can't reach out, put their car back the right way around, and send it off again. They have to wait for the next run.
Harry, and some final thoughts from your experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an experience, that's for sure, but a great experience. I mean, to see this technology at the very start, you know, this is just the beginning, and this isn't your typical motorsport racing event, but it is the beginning of something quite exciting. So we're at the first stage, and think what can happen in the next couple of months.
Well, I woke up today not knowing what was going to happen today, and I think each of us will leave here very impressed by what we saw here tonight at Abu Dhabi. For Kojo, for Steph Wentworth, for Julian Palmer, for Alex Brundle, for Harry Benjamin, to our producer Charlie, to the entire Hey Fisher production team, to all the professionals that traveled around the world to be with us here tonight, to the fans, to the teams, and to everyone watching at home. It's been an unreal night sharing this experience with you. Until next time, here we go to Beyond.